When you put something on, we'll be starting shortly again. Just create a thing. Just create a quick PDF and just put, we'll be starting shortly. ऊपर ऐसे चले issue we've got with that is it doesn't pick up the camera, so when you're streaming it's not like it doesn't pick up the video, it only picks up this power. Yeah, no, yeah. Set up with that. Nobody's helping. All right.
Asif kan dari bawah. Kenapa selalu Jumat?
No, but
Mungkin aja.
I had a meeting at No, but this is enough video. Yeah, this is enough. I tried if you ever there's a little bit of insight. It's very clear, but you know how to do it. غزة بنوتي لك الآية في لازم أنا أعرف على رأيي يعني بس
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على رسوله الكريم. أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. وأدخل إليك حلالك هذا ورحمنا من حلال الله. اللهم رب زدني علما. اللهم رب زدني علما. اللهم رب زدني. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Hope you're well, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, we managed to rattle through a lot of aspects of Umrah with Rasulullah yesterday, alhamdulillah, and a lot of the spiritual aspects of the Umrah and the days of Hajj, inshallah. So, as far as I recall, we managed to get through most of the day of Mina, the day of Arafah, Zakariyya, Arafah, and we actually managed to get as far as Muzdalifah. I think we'll go through a recap, inshallah, just to jog our memories and just to remind ourselves. And then from there, inshallah, we'll move on to the 10th of the Hajj, 11th and the 12th of the Hajj, inshallah. So, before we start, if there are any questions from any brothers, anything that you would like us to touch upon before we proceed and carry on through the rest of the days of Hajj? Are we okay with everything so far? Everybody understood everything we went through? Jibril.
Sorry, brother, yesterday I missed the last hour of the seminar here.
No problem, inshallah. We've got, alhamdulillah, we've got plenty of time today. So we've got the remainder of Hajj, and then inshallah, Mufti will be going through Medina as well. And then we'll have interactive questions and answers as well. So we've got the time, inshallah, to cover everything. But I will recap the days of Hajj, inshallah. So that within the last hour we went through all of that anyway. So I'll quickly whiz through that. So
The questions are asked.
yeah, absolutely. If you have any questions, feel free to fire away. So as you know, we said the 8th of Zulhijjah when we arrived into Mina, the Yom Tarwiyah, it's just a day of recuperating, relaxing, and gathering our thoughts, gathering all our specifics for the very next day. So it's what we call a resting station, a day to relax and immerse ourselves into the guidance of every hour and basically getting everything in order for the next day. So the real preparation for the main day of Hajj will be the 8th of Zulhijj. We'll be arriving there early morning, anywhere between 3 o'clock in the morning to, I'd say, Fajr time. And rarely we see boats coming at sunrise, so you'll be there pretty early. You'll have enough time to rest, have breakfast. A lot of the groups get there early, so you can have breakfast and rest and relax for the rest of the day. But it's very important to pray your five, minimum five it will be, because you bring Zohar, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, and the very next day you'll be covering Fajr as well in Mina. So if you get there on the 8th of Zulhijjah around Fajr time, then of course you'll be praying Fajr there anyway. Most of the Hujjaj, they just go to sleep then until around 11, 12 o'clock now. Salat times will be prescribed by the group, so if there are any guides, any scholars in there, well, there will be scholars in there. They'll probably say, okay, we'll probably pray Zohar at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, which is fine, you can do a Jamaat then. And then obviously you'll be praying Asr at this particular time, and then Maghrib and Isha, and then you'll be resting on the 8th of Zulhijjah for the very next day. You'll be allocated your coaches, you'll be told what time the coaches will be leaving, so they'll be around 6, 7 o'clock in the morning usually. But again, it's a case of being patient and just waiting for your guides and your group leads to give you an allocation. You'll know what coaches you're on as well, you'll be grouped as well accordingly, and you'll be told exactly what time you'll be leaving to go to Arafat. You'll be arriving into Arafat well before Zawal, so again you'll have a little bit of time to recuperate again, get some rest, gather your thoughts, and inshallah comes Zawal time. That's the point of the start of Arafat until Maghrib. So as we said yesterday, just make the absolute most of it. It's very, very important that we absolutely maximize every moment on the day of Arafat. Because it's the main essence of why you're there, the main reason of you being there, and if nothing else, if we make the most of the day of Arafat, then inshallah that will be a Hajj, and most of the Hajj rights fulfilled. So come Maghrib time, that's when the coaches will start to depart towards Muzdalifah. Remember, at Maghrib time in Arafat, you will not be praying Maghrib at all. Maghrib will be prayed in Muzdalifah, which I'll touch upon in a few moments. You'll be waiting for your coaches. There'll be anything from sunset till 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night that you'll be boarding the coaches. Now, the reason I say this is you've got expectation, you've got an understanding that you may be told that your coach will be leaving at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, but you might still be sitting there at 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. Why do I say this? Because we see this all the time. So the point I'm trying to make here is just be patient. There's no rush. There'll be plenty of space when you get to Muzdalifah. There'll be plenty of allocation. You're only going to be sleeping there for a few hours out in the outdoors, and there's going to be a few requirements when you arrive in Muzdalifah as well. So it's very, very important that you don't get herded into the rush, and you don't get into into the area where, okay, I need to get there as soon as possible. There's absolutely no rush to get there, because we sometimes get there at 12 in the morning when we're walking. So it's very, very important for you to bear that in mind. You'll arrive into Muzdalifah. You'll find somewhere to rest. You'll put all your belongings, your luggage down, your bisters down. So if you're carrying a sleeping bag, you'll be sleeping on top of the sleeping bag, not in the sleeping bag. If you've got a sleeping mat, a camping mat, you'll be using that. Most of the provisions in Muzdalifah come from the authorities, so they do provide rugs, and on top of the rug you have a sleeping mat, but depending on what time you arrive into Muzdalifah, you may not be able to get hold of a sleeping mat. So we always say as a precaution, take your own sleeping mat. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, it doesn't have to be anything special. You just get a basic Decathlon or Amazon camping mat on which you can just sit down and rest. We normally just grab some of the checkers or a picnic blanket from Makkah, 10, 15 riyals, and we just sit on top of that. Again, there's two aspects of this. Some may be of the opinion they just want to get some rest and go to sleep and relax. Some might say, oh, it's actually a very blessed night, so we want to, again, immerse ourselves and take part in ibadat, and it's an Eid night at the end of the day, so so you want to spend as much time as you can in ibadat. But the key focus of the night in Muzdalifah is the Maghrib and the Isha Salah. Okay? In terms of meal provision, there's hardly anything provided in Muzdalifah. It's very, very important that you bear that in mind, okay? You might get given a few snacks, very light snacks, and ideally you want to be in a position where you're not eating very heavily. You just snack, have fluids, fruits, things of that nature. So it's just to make sure that you're not having to go for istijab very often. So it's very, very important that we bear that in mind. Muzdalifah is a very vast area. It's very rough and rugged terrain. There's some rocky areas, some flat areas, but it's very dusty. So most of the groups will have their little areas within Muzdalifah that you'll be camping in. And this literally is camping. You're out in the outdoors. So when you've arrived in Muzdalifah on your coach or whatever time that is, just settle down, and then you'll be making your preparations for your Maghrib and Isha. So it'll be one Adhan, one Iqamah, you'll pray Maghrib. As soon as you pray the Farais of Maghrib, you'll be praying the Farais of Isha. Okay? So 3, 4, and then you'll be praying the Sunnah of Maghrib, Sunnah of Isha, and then if you pray a Witr, you'll be praying Witr, or if you're going to pray Witr later on. That means the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is that has to be done in that order. That's the requirement for that night in Muzdalifah. So it's very, very important that we pray those salat together. If you are Musafir, every time we've been there, we've been Musafir, so you'll be praying the Isha as 2. Does that make sense? Yeah? So 2 first of Isha, because it's going to be Qasr, because you're Musafir. If you're along the understanding that you're a Muqim, then in the Jamaat you will pray 4. But the fifth of that, if you have any concerns, just ask us, because there's, based on your package and based on the length of stay, and based on the understanding as well, according to some scholars, there's a difference. And we've been challenged this a few times now over the last few weeks. And it's very important that you have an understanding that there's no right or wrong. It's what you're firm on and what your understanding provides you with. So the biggest thing to just ascertain before anything else is just making sure that you're really understanding whether you're Muqim, which is a resident, local, or whether you're Musafir or a traveler. Does that make sense? Yeah? And based on how you will be performing your salah, will be based on what your niyyah or your intention is. Does that make sense? Or is that confusing everybody? Are we okay with that? Yeah? Okay, inshallah. So once you've performed the salah, it's just a case of collecting your stones. So the number of stones you'll be collecting is 49 as a minimum and 70 as a maximum. Okay? So remember, on the next day, on the 10th of Zilhajj, you'll be pelting the first Jamarat al-Kaaba, the biggest one, which is furthest away or closest towards the Haram. So you'll be collecting just 7 stones for that, but generally you'll be collecting a lot more. You'll be collecting 49 stones. So if you're going to be intending on staying in Mina for the 6th day, so 5 days of Hajj and staying the extra day, then you need to collect 70 stones, okay? So 21 extra for the 6th day. However, we normally advise just take a few extra as well. In fact, we normally just take up to 140 stones simply because somewhere down the line you'll find somebody's left their stone somewhere, somebody's forgotten their stone somewhere. So it's just as a precaution. If you don't want to carry that many, just carry a few extra. So Asif just distributed the size of the stone. It's only a pea size, enough that you could just clasp in your finger and your thumb, okay? Index finger and the thumb. Doesn't have to be massive boulders, and just make sure that what you pick up is purity and it's actually a stone, it's not a piece of dust. Sometimes you can just press it and it'll crumble. So just do make sure it's a stone. There's no need to wash it or anything like that. Just pop it into a bag and keep it on your person and keep it with you. Once you break the salah, once you've collected your stones, okay, once you collect the stones, then you are free to have some rest, have something to eat, or just engage in ibadah for the rest of the evening. Now, Muzdalifah is the night, but there's a certain point as well. So there's a wukuf of Muzdalifah the very next morning, and the wukuf of Muzdalifah, or the stand, or the stay in Muzdalifah, is actually from the Fajr beginning time, Subh Sadiq, until just after sunrise, or just around sunrise. Wukuf of until from Fajr, Subh Sadiq. Fajr to sunrise, yes. So Most of the groups will start praying the Fajr Salah at Subh Sali. Entirely up to you if you're going to pray Jamaat with the rest of your group, then of course you'll be praying Fajr. And from that point you pray Fajr until sunrise is the time for dua or the wukuf of Muzdalifah. Okay? So you spent the night and now it's the morning. And the point I've got to make on this one that a lot of the Hujjaj, they literally just brush this ibadat away. They don't really take it seriously. Not to say they don't take it seriously, but they don't really apply it as much as you need to in terms of ibadat. Remember, it's arkan or manasik of Hajj. It is a requirement there, so try and do it. Ibadat, morning adhkar, and as many du'as as you can. At this point, I've got to mention that in terms of logistics and transport, some of the Hujjaj might decide to start walking towards Mina, okay? So, again, this is entirely your decision as to how you wish to proceed. If you think you want to just wait for the coach, now remember, from sunrise, which is around 6:15, to when the coaches leave could be 2-3 hours. So you might actually think to yourself, rather than wait for a coach for 2-3 hours, why don't I just walk to Mina? Because it's only going to take you 45 minutes to an hour maximum, because it's only 1.5 miles. And the majority of you will be in the Waisin camp, which is the first camp in Mina, not far from Mina Al-Wali Hospital, which is going to be where you'll be stopping. So entirely up to you what you wish to do at this point. If you wish to jump on a coach and go on the coach, by all means, it'll only be 5-10 minutes, 15 minutes max for the coach to reach Mina. If you wish to want to walk, you can walk. Our advice, just walking. If you're fit, healthy, you have no issue walking, you've not done much walking until now, just walk into Mina, go there, have breakfast, get some rest, and this is going to be the start of the 10th of Zil Hajj, which is going to be what we call the business end of the 5 days of Hajj. It's going to be a very, very hectic, very, very busy day. The 10th of Zil Hajj, the Yawm al-Nahr, the day of sacrifice. Okay, so you're going to have a few requirements on this day. Again, I talked a little bit.
Just before Sohail moves on to Yawm al-Nahr, finish off a few points about Muzdalifah. So Muzdalifah, this is the place where in the times of Jahiliyyah, the Arabs would come to show off. Okay. And obviously now nobody's really showing off there, although you may find some big house around for short periods of time. The other thing is with Muzdalifah and the whole again mindset, before we get to mindset, the books of Hadith mention that the Nabi Kareem Sallallahu arrived in Muzdalifah, the first thing he did was pray his two namaz. Okay? I remember we got a bit grumpy with Asif a couple of years back because we were waiting around too long. So some narrations suggest that Nabi Kareem Sallallahu actually prayed his Maghrib Isha before he even took the saman, the luggage off the camels. There are some other narrations to say that the Sahaba had something to eat first, so if you're desperate, that's fine. But priority is Salah, number one. And this is some advice, okay, see when you're traveling as a group, remember I say that Hajj teaches you skills in life. Have an Amir stand with you, okay, even, and whoever the Amir Sahib is, look at the needs of all the people. If you're somebody like me that struggles to hold the wuzu for long periods of time, split the Jamaat, let them pray. Okay, somebody else wants to eat, that's fine, no problem. You can pray your namaz, a slightly later. So look, try and make it easy for everyone. Because often some people, they're really tired, they want to get to sleep, especially if they're walking all the way from Arafah, which is a tough walk. Most of you will be doing that. Finally, regarding the wukuf, La ilaha illallah, so it's mentioned in the hadith of Abu Dawud, it's also reported by Zakariyya that the Sahaba they see the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam smiling in Muzdalifah. So they asked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ya Rasulullah, why are you smiling? So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that all my du'as from yesterday, from Arafah, had been accepted except one. The one dua that wasn't accepted was, may Allah forgive the zulm or the oppression of this ummah, the oppression of this ummah. and even today he says that was forgiven to him. Okay? So whatever you missed out in Arafat, whatever you think, oh, forgot to ask for this, ask for that, plenty of time, make a note of it and take advantage of that on the day of Muzdalifah. So I'll swing it back to Sohail now so you can inshallah go back to continuing with the next day, which is day 3, Yawm al-Nahar.
Just before I do step forward, what we did forget to mention actually was actually I don't recall if we mentioned it, but the Takbir Tashriq on the days of Tashriq.
Yes.
We need to make sure that we on the 9th of Zilhajj, when we're leaving for Arafat at that Fajr, the Takbir Tashriq said Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, walillah alhamd. You have to recite that after every Farah Salah. So it's very important to remember that from the 9th of Zilhajj. Okay? And also, in terms of facilities in Muzdalifah are very, very restricted and there'll be large queues there as well. So in terms of if you need to go to the loo, then make sure we try and get that done in Arafat and then you're not consumed too much. Inshallah, we could reserve ourselves until we get to Mina the next morning if you can. I understand there's elders amongst us and there's a need to use the lavatory, but it's something to bear in mind, inshallah. Okay. So we'll be arriving back to Mina, okay, at this point where everybody will, I've just mentioned it at another program we just attended, but this is where everybody will start to make their own way as to how they proceed in regards to what the rest of the day will entail. So just to outline what we'll be doing on this day. On this day, the first thing that we'll be doing is performing the Rami, which is the pelting of the large Jamarat on the 10th of Zilhajj, okay? So that's a requirement for that day. After that, you've got your sacrifice, your qurbani, your nahar, dam shukr, the zabiha. And after that, you'll be having your halak, shaving your hair, and you'll be coming out of your ihram. And then the other requirement or the sunnah for that day is performing tawafi ziyarah or tawafi ifada. Okay? So, is everybody clear on that? So, what will be happening on this day? Now, a lot of what happens on this day will be governed and based around what your package is, where you're located, and what the logistics are with regards to your groups. Remember, some of you will be staying in Azizia, some of you will be staying in Makkah, and some of you will be staying further away in Bismillah as well, the Boko hotels and those type of hotels which come under Nawaf Mina are slightly further away. So it's a case of finding transport to take you to where you need to go. So in terms of practicality and in terms of logistics, it's very, very important that you understand how you'll be moving around and what you'll be doing on this day, because there will be no transport for anybody. Okay? From Mina to Jamarat is a walk, because there's just no cars, no transport systems at all. It's a pedestrian route. Okay? So in order for you to get to Jamarat, you'll be walking, and it's roughly 2 miles. Okay? Everybody walks. If you're in a wheelchair, you'll be pushed in a wheelchair. If you're in a stretcher, you need to somehow get yourself there in an ambulance. Okay? Just inshallah it won't be the case, but the point I'm trying to make that everybody walks to Jamarat. You'll be pelting the Jamarat al-Uqba, the biggest one, 7 times. After that, you'll stop and say, okay, what am I going to do now? Where am I going to go? If you're going to be in Azizia, you'll probably say to yourself, okay, I'm going to head to Azizia now and just wait for my qurbani to take place. I know all of you are different on this, so we can only practically advise what to do and then give you all the options, and then you decide what works best with you. Because you might have done your qurbani with nusuk, for example, and you've already paid for your nahar. Okay? So you've got to wait for them to inform you that your qurbani has been done before you can shave your head. If, for example, your provider has done your qurbani, so not nusuk, but the group that you're with, they're going to be performing your qurbani, so you need to have contact with them for them to tell you when it's been done. It might be done at 3 o'clock, it might be done at 4, it might be done at 5, it might be done at 6, it might be done at Maghrib. point to make note of here, you will remain in ihram until that has been done. What do you do in that time? So if your Qurban is going to be at 7 o'clock, what are you going to do in that time? Are you just going to stay in the hotel? Or are you going to think about doing something else? Does this make sense? So you have options here. You could easily go to Makkah and perform your tawaf and ziyarah. You can do that. Okay? Because the only things that need to be in order is the pelting, the animal sacrifice, and then the shaving. That has to be in order. You could do the pelting, you could wait for the animal sacrifice and the halal, and you could go straight to Makkah and perform tawaf ziyarah. Does that make sense? Okay, I know it's slightly tricky to understand what's going on here, but if you gauge and get an idea of how things will move around in this thing, it'll make it easy for you. Why am I telling you to go to Makkah to perform tawaf ziyarah? Because you'll have the time to do that. If you don't want to do that, maybe if you think, you know what, I want to rest, I'm very tired, I'm just going to go back to my hotel and go to sleep and wait for my Qur'an to be done, at which point I'll consider going to do tawaf ziyarah. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. The reason I'm saying tawaf ziyarah on that day is because it's sunnah to perform on that day. We've done on that day, but we've also done it on the next day. We've also done it on the 11th, we've also done it on the 12th as well. So don't get too bogged down, don't get too worked up. If there's a problem with you, for example, somebody might not be well, your partner can't walk that much, or they're very tired, that is a more important consideration. Practicality is a much more important consideration. The health of your Jamaat is a very important consideration. So have all these different options in mind. To be honest with you, no matter how many times any of us or anybody at any program will tell you about this, it'll be in one ear, out the other, simply because you simply don't know what the halat are going to be on that day. The reason I say this is we've been faced by every single different eventuality, circumstances and events, and we've had to completely adjust ourselves. Our niyyah was to perform tawaf ziyarah on this day, and we couldn't because somebody wasn't well. Okay? So the point I'm making is there's so much flexibility there. There's so many different ways you could do what you need to do, and it'll be fulfilled, inshallah. Just don't get bogged down. Also, make the decision for yourself. What you want to do, make the decision for yourself. You've been given what the options are. Don't be led by another person, because their situation will be different. The Qurban will be different. The family dynamic might be a little bit different. They might be on their own. There might be somebody much fitter than you as well. So if you're with elders, if you're with family members, these are very important considerations to make on that 10th of Zil-Hajj. Because one thing I've not touched upon is one, fatigue, tiredness on that day. The heat on that day. And the fact that you'll be moving around doing a lot of things with baggage. You'll have your rucksacks with you, and you'll have other family members with you as well. So these are all very important considerations, and the fact that you're going to be placed in so many different strategic points. I mean, I'll give you the example of Al-Bayt. The shifting hotels, they're all based in Azizia, at different points in Azizia. So some hotels are going to be very close to the Jamarat, whereas the other hotels are going to be slightly further away from Jamarat. In the same way, some hotels will be closer to Waisib, but then they'll be further away from the Jamarat. There's pros and there's cons, there's advantages and disadvantages of both, but they all work. That's the point I'm trying to make. Does that make sense? And does everybody understand what I've said so far?
Yeah. Asif mentioned the labbaik Allahumma labbaik that you're reciting from the day you put on your Hajj ihram stops when you're penalty the first shaitan on the 10th. Okay, so the big shaitan first stoning, that's when you stop. Also, for the sisters above, I think there were some issues reading the screen. There might be an Appa sitting there, her name is Halima. She's got all the slides, so
That's much better.
We'll be sitting, so if you have a clear picture of the struggle, so please, if she's there, get the slides from her. Exactly.
So,
Full last skin.
this is just a little bit.
Yeah, that's better. That's better. Much better.
Sare, एक हंसे
Because the authorities are very strict in performing your own zabiha. It's possible to do, but I would just say stick with the group that we've done just before. The reason we're saying this is because last year we arranged for 20 brothers to come with us to do the zabiha. And when it came to 10th of Hajj, when I rang them, we're ready to go have a zabiha, do a qurbani, all of them disappeared. Half of them didn't answer the phone, the other 10 were too tired. Okay? So if you're thinking, oh, Sohail, I want to do my own qurbani, it's not easy. Logistically, it's very difficult. Mufti Sahab, how much did we pay the taxi driver to take us from A to B and he dropped us nowhere near it in 2022?
I'm still paying for it.
£500.
We paid £500.
That's like, remember the 10th is Eid days like Christmas. £500 for a taxi on the 10th of Zilhaj. So, and we paid that, we've got experience. And we paid it. 15 of us in the taxi.
We said we'd be ripped apart, but we had no choice.
We had no
because we had
choice.
everybody's qurbani to do.
Curry, Gurmani, but just be prepared. It's easier for you lot to walk in than to catch a taxi on that day.
Shall I tell you what the easiest things for you will be? That's just my opinion. Everybody will have an opinion. Neither of them are wrong, neither of them are right either. Everybody has an opinion. So it's very, very subjective. You can't be objective on this day. It's very subjective because it's how you'll be doing the things. I would suggest once you've done your Rami, the first one, the 7 times you counted the Jamrat Uqba, have a look at who's with you. Have a look at how they are. Now, if you've done Qurbani with us, Mufti Osama, the way that will work, as soon as you've done your Rami, you'll pick up the phone and you'll ring the number you'll be given. As soon as you inform them, I've just done my Rami, straight away, or within that half an hour, the Qurbani will be done. Straight away. So you are then free somewhere on there just to have your halakun and you're out of your ihram. Okay? That's one option if you've done your Qurbani with us. I think majority of you have, I think. Because I've seen names in the faces. So that's one option. Now, if your Qurbani is going to be delayed, it's not been done, or you're still waiting, and if you feel you're fit and healthy, then just make your way towards Haram. How do you get there? If you get to Azizia, get a taxi to Haram, you can't do it, the chances are you won't get a taxi. The easiest way to do it, it's not the practical way to do it, the easiest way to do it is just walking. Okay? It'll take you about 2.5 hours to get to Haram, and remember when you get there, that's 5 miles for you to walk. When you get there, you've got to do your tawaf, and then you've got to do your sa'i as well. The sa'i alone is 2.8 miles. Sa'i is 2.8 miles, okay? So this is all the walking you've got to do. Remember, you've gone to Haram, you've done your tawaf ziyarah, you've done your sa'i, and now you've got to head back to either your hotel in Makkah, your hotel in Azizia, and then head back to Mina for the night. Do you understand what I'm trying to say here? There's so much going on, there's so much you've got to do, and it's so unfortunate that on this day, because of Hujjaj not thinking straight and not planning, they'll just stop in the hotel and go to sleep there. In fact, just at the program I was at Olive, one of the sisters came. My husband says that we don't need to go back to Mina on the night, we could just stay in our hotel in Azizia in Makkah. Why did you even bother going for Hajj, or why did you even pay what you have to forget the money? Why did you even make the effort of going there if you're not going to be spending the blessed nights in Mina? It's going to be difficult. It's going to be close to impossible for a lot of people, but it's possible. Hujjaj have told me, and I've asked them over the years, that how many days did you actually walk on that day? Because my step count was telling me I walked 30 miles, 25 miles, 27 miles. This is the kind of walking you're talking, because you're going to have to move around from A to B. But you'll have time to do that. So if you just focus, if you gear yourself, just keep a calm mind and just do what you need to do, inshallah it'll happen. If you find that Sohail, we just couldn't get to Haram, it's fine. Go back to Mina, spend the night in Mina, and the next day you could easily go back and do your Tawaf Ziyarat. On the subject of Tawaf Ziyarat, there's going to be two instances or two scenarios there. Some of you will have performed Hajj Tamattu, in which case you will have your Tawaf and you'll have the Sa'i as well. Now, Those of you who will have performed Qiran Hajj, okay, will have had the option of doing your Sa'i of Hajj on just before Hajj. Does that make sense when I say that? Yeah? So if you made your niyyah for Qiran Hajj and you arrive into Makkah and you perform your Umrah, you will have had the option to perform another tawaf and to perform in your Hajj Ihram, perform the Sa'i of Hajj before Hajj. Does everybody understand that, and do you know that there's a possibility of doing that? Are you all aware of that? Yeah? Okay, so if you've already... Who doesn't? Honestly,
No, I don't understand. I wasn't aware of it.
yeah, mashallah, that's good. Brilliant. That's brilliant. This is what we want to hear. If you're not aware of it, let's make you aware of it. If you're not sure, put your hands up. There's only a few of you. To make it such an interactive session that you'll be properly geared up here. So yeah, that's an option. So if, for example, you performed Qiran Hajj and you're in your Hajj Ihram, you perform your Umrah, then you could easily perform another tawaf and do the Sa'i of Hajj before Hajj on the 6th or the 7th of Zil Hajj, so that when you go on the 10th of Zil Hajj to perform your tawaf, you won't need to do Sa'i because you will have already done it. It's an option for you. There's benefits to it in that you won't need to do unnecessary 2.8-mile walk, and the fact that you've adopted a blessing as well in doing it beforehand, because it's an option to do that as well. Does everybody understand that? Okay? So if you need to perform your tawaf and Sa'i, you're going to do both. If you perform just tawaf, fine. You've got to now make your way towards Mina. Okay? This is again if you perform your tawaf on that day. You might not have, you might have already reached Mina because you're going to perform tawaf tomorrow because it wasn't possible on that day. It was busy, you couldn't make it. Situation and circumstances didn't permit it, which is fine as well. Okay? So, Mufti Sahib here, Asif here, after 2022, we performed a tawaf ziyarah, a tawaf ziyarah and Sa'i, and we thought, you know what, let's go to the hotel and see what's going on over there. So we went to the clock towers, went underneath, and what do we see? Hundreds of Hujjaj standing there waiting for a coach, which didn't arrive at all. All these Hujjaj wanted to get to Mina, hundreds of them there. Okay? So the point I'm trying to make is, it will be sometimes challenging and difficult for you to grab some transport. If you have to start making your way, it's going to be very tough because you've just done all of that walking, you've done it all, say you've got to try and walk back as well before Fajr as well, to spend some night in Mina. So Mufti Sahib will talk a little bit more about how much time is acceptable to spend the night in Mina just so that you accomplish the requirement. So Mufti Sahib, you want to just add to that how much time in Mina we need to spend that we get away with?
So the ulama recommend is the bare minimum. Try and spend your nights there. Okay. I mean, obviously, spend most time there. That's fine. That's the best thing. But if you want to go to visit your hotel in Azizia during the day, freshen up, shower, use what you may term a proper toilet. Okay. That's fine. But try and make it back for the evening. That's the second point. Third point is, if you're struggling to spend the full night there, try and spend the majority of the night, okay? Try and spend the majority of the night, inshallah. Because at the end of the day, we're trying to obtain the sunnah here, okay? Jazakallah. Oh, and just to add, one of the reasons why the ulama say tawaf al-ziyarah is called tawaf al-ziyarah is because when you do ziyarah of someone you visited, yeah? So you're supposed to go to Makkah, visit the Kaaba, and get back to your homes in Mina. Okay?
So, if you make it back to Mina, inshallah, you'll all make it back to Mina for that night on the 10th, alhamdulillah, just rest because now it becomes nice and easy if you perform the tawaf ziyarah. If you haven't, then obviously you'll be finding a point at which over the next couple of days to perform the tawaf ziyarah. Okay? Any questions so far before I move on? Does everybody understand the tenets of Hajj, what can happen, what can't happen, and what the options are? Again, it will depend on the package and where you're located in the hotels. I know there's a lot of you based in some of the new packages which are slightly further out, and there are packages which are really far back in terms of the hotels. So that will depend on your movement as well logistically. So any questions at all, brothers, before I move on to the final 2 days? Okay, so then you've got the 11th of Zil Hajj. So if you haven't performed Tawaf Ziyarah, then you'll be performing Tawaf Ziyarah on that day as well if you want to, or if your halat permits you to. But from here on, you'll be performing the rami of all three jamarat, okay? So if you're going to be stopping in an area called Majar al-Qabs, it's literally a stone's throw from the jamarat. That's a pun, by the way. Stone's throw from the jamarat. You don't throw the stones from your camp, you have to get close by. Okay. So it's very close basically. It's about a 10-15 minute walk from the camp to the Jamarat. That's if you're in Major Clubs. If you're in Moisin, which is majority of you, it's going to be another 1 hour walk. So it's about a mile and a half, maximum 2 miles depending on whereabouts you're walking from. Now, when you're walking from Moisin, the route you'll be taking through 2 or 3 of the tunnels will only bring you on 1 level of Jamarat. Jamarat is over 5 levels. The way they've designed archaeologically, in terms of architecturally, they've created it. Is different areas or different camps naturally go to different levels. So where you are in Waisin will always bring you to the first floor. Okay, so everybody will be moving in one direction because the roads will be closed for you to jump past if you want to bypass it. So from Waisin, everybody will be walking in one direction. Whoever you follow will be probably going towards Jamrat. So when do we start pelting the Jamrat? So it's after Zawal from the 11th. Is that okay? So that's the prescribed time. You'll be going towards Jamrat. You'll arrive at the first one and you will be pelting that 7 times. Okay? So 7 times on the first one. So the first Jamrat will be pelting 7 times. After that, turn towards Qibla. So the tartib of pelting, they normally say, is as long as you stretch your arm out, so exposing your underarm, and just pelt it. The stone has got to enter the well. So Jamrat will be there, a big pillar, and there'll be like a little well around it, a massive wall. And when you throw it in, as long as it lands inside, that's counted, okay? If you drop it on the floor, don't pick it up again, use another stone. This is where we said extra stones are always useful. So the first one, pelt it, 7 times, turn towards the Qibla, short dua, you move on to the second one, exactly the same, okay? 7 times you'll be pelting it, okay? Move on to the large one, 7 times you're pelting it, but after the third one, there's no need to make dua. You'll just then towards the end of the Jumrah, and then there'll be signs. You go to either Makkah, back to Mina, or to Azizia. Entirely up to you what you wish to do. What could be the situations that can happen here? You might go back to Mina, and you might rest in Mina. You might go back to Makkah and stay in your hotel and pray some salah in Haram whilst you're there. Or you might not have done your Tawaf Ziyarah the day before, so you might want to do it on that day. Does that make sense? So these are all the different eventualities that can happen on that day. And then after that, you've got the day 5, the 12th of Zilhajj. It's exactly the same again. What you did on the 11th of Zilhajj, the 4th day of Hajj, exactly the same on the 5th day of Hajj, which is the 12th of Zilhajj. And then if you proceed and if you want to fulfill the blessing on the 6th day of Zilhajj, you could easily do that as well. If, for example, you're only going to be doing the 5th of the 5 days of Hajj or the 12th of Zilhajj, you need to make sure you leave Mina before Subh Sadiq of that day, otherwise it becomes, is it wajib for you to be pelting on day 6?
Only if you're there at Fajr time on the 13th, then it becomes wajib, not if you leave before then.
So if you find that you're going to be waiting in Mina for somebody to come and collect you or just wait there, you need to make sure you need to move out from there before a certain time, which is Subh Sadiq on the 13th. Otherwise, you have to then stay an extra day and do the Rami on that day as well. This is where it turns into the from 49 to the 70 stones. Does that make sense, inshallah, brothers? So that would mean that is the end of all your Hajj rites. And all that remains after this is the Tawaf al-Wida, the farewell Tawaf, which can be done anytime after the days of Hajj.
Just before Sohail jumps onto that, the timings for pelting, it is in the slides, but in case you missed it, on the first day when you're only hunting the big shaitan, you can start, you'll be okay with doing that any time. In fact, the sunnah time is usually up to Sawal, even though you might struggle to get there by that time. But when it comes to the 11th, the 12th, the 13th, the time for pelting starts after Zawal, after Zawal time. Remember that, yeah? So, according to the Hanafi position, anything done before Zawal on these days, 11, 12, 13 won't count. So, just bear that in mind, be mindful of that.
So, tawaf without is the farewell tawaf, and that's done any time after the 6th. Now, again, a lot of the Hujjaj, they make it, you know, a concern that, oh, I have to do this in a certain way. There's no, compulsion there. It needs to be done, yes, definitely, but any last tawaf you will do, the nafil tawaf you will do, will be counted or compensated as the tawaf al-wida, inshallah. So that pretty much covers all the 5 days of Hajj, inshallah. If there's any questions you brothers might have, we're happy to take those questions before Mufti Sahib can jump in and start talking about Medina. So anything regarding Umrah, anything regarding the days of Hajj, inshallah, we can talk about that, inshallah, now, before we go on to Medina.
On the day when you get to the where you have to Maghrib and Isha together, is that the day you get there or the next day?
It's the day you get there.
Whatever time you get there.
So whatever time you get there, even if you get there just before Subh Sadiq, you still need to pray Maghrib and Isha together. Yes. The way the coaches work, you'll get there at the very latest 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock is very late. About 2 o'clock you get there. By the latest. At Arafat, you don't pray Maghrib. I don't know if the Muftis have said, or Mufti Shabir said as well, that this is where we understand and appreciate that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded us to pray Salah at a certain time, in a certain, at a certain time at the prescribed times. This is the only time that it's commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I don't want you to pray Maghrib at this time in this place. I want you to pray at this time in this place. So it gives an indication that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the supreme command, and we're only led by what is being prescribed.
The only time you would not read Maghrib and Isha in Muzdalifah is that if you were, for whatever reason, at risk that you're not going to get there before Fajr time. Okay? So you've got the full night to get there, and that's the only time you would read it outside. So please, Maghrib and Isha delayed in the evening. Jazakumullah khair.
I'm in the state of Haram, and I've injured myself, and I can't stop the bleeding. So, what do I do, and how do I can't stop bleeding? Do
I mean, when you say you can't stop bleeding,
I've done it myself, and I've injured, and it's bleeding, and I can't stop the bleeding.
Yeah.
Or prior to that, I was in the state of Haram.
Okay. I mean, you would, in terms of, you don't need to be in the state of wudu to do all these arkan. You carry on doing your rameen with a bleeding head. If that's what happens, you carry on doing whatever you need to do. The only thing you need to mind for is salah and tawaf. Okay? So during those times, you need to make sure that you have some form of like a plaster, okay? And if it's not possible to put a plaster on it to stop the bleeding, then if the masala of uzr comes into that if you bled constantly for one whole namaz time, such that it wasn't even possible for you to find 5-10 minutes to make wuzu and do namaz, then you be counted as a ma'zur, and then you can pray your namaz in that state until such a time that that bleeding stops or that problem doesn't recur. But most people that bleed, okay, they normally put a bandage or a plaster on it, and that doesn't take long.
But does that break my haram?
It doesn't break your haram, no. It doesn't break your haram. You can die and bleed to death, but you still be in the state of haram. Inshallah, that won't happen, but just remember that one.
And about Hadi, the Qurbani, if myself, I'm performing it for my father who passed away.
Yeah.
Here at home, do I have to perform to do the Qurbani for myself as well?
Yeah. The masala is if you are in Hajj and during the days of Hajj you are musafir, so you're doing qasr, then it's not an obligation on you to do your own Qurbani back home. But the because it doesn't really cost that much to do a Qurbani and his birthday, we normally recommend that you sort that out before you go. So you do your Qurbani separately back home, and then the dam that's involved, which is known as Dam Shukr and Hajj, that's completely separate. But as you mentioned, if you're doing that for somebody else, that would be, you'd have to get that done if you have to do it as part of your Hajj, i.e. Qiran and Tamattu, not an Ifrad. So the two separate Qurbanis.
Also, based on a point I forgot to mention, can we? So the point at which we've done a Qurbani, we've done a halal, we've come out of Ihram, but we still need to perform Tawaf Ziyarah. It's very important that all the restrictions, all the rules of Ihram are lifted except for marital relationships. Does that make clear? I made this point because you sometimes do fall into, into difficulty, into a trap where you've made an act and which put you in has violated your ihram before before performed Tawaf Ziyarah, and it's quite a hefty penalty as well. So we want to be mindful to make sure that all the full restrictions of ihram are lifted after Tawaf Ziyarah. Does that make sense as well? It's a very important point.
Just what is it? And we enjoyed. I like you guys talk. He's reminded me of something. See if somebody cuts your head and it's bleeding, and you manage to make it stop.
I'll be doing it myself.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what gets Sohail to do it for you.
I live on the street.
And then
After showers.
afterwards, put talcum powder on top. That usually helps. But I just give me a tip that when we do masha, okay, how much of wetting your hair means that you've done masha? So say if somebody comes out of the wuzu khana right now and everybody can see me, yeah, and they say, I just did this. Okay, is his masha done or not? He's left half of his head out. He's only losing half. Is his masha done? Well, some people say no, some people say yes.
What is it?
So this is the beauty of Hajj. It forces you to learn about parts of Deen that you should have learned in the Western. So 1/4 of the head. So if you've got a wound somewhere in your head here, yeah, because Sohail didn't change the blade, okay, then watch. You just do this. Your muscle still done, even though you've not physically touched that part of the head. Okay. These are good massages to remember. Okay. Good massages to remember because we don't do it normally because that's going against the sunnah, but these are things that are useful. There's lots of things like this, because most people, they actually don't struggle with the Hajj Arkan because they've studied it very well. It's just they were weak with their deen in the first place, so they struggle with basic masalas like wuzu, namaz, where can you do short things, where it's okay to leave things out. So these are things, inshallah, that when you travel, with whichever guide you have, hopefully they'll share them with yourself. Alhamdulillah. Jesus said, or there's one other question, wasn't there, Brother Quran?
Yeah, if somebody doing the Hajj Badal, if someone doing for father or for mother, so when he is putting ihram, so one time to do it when I'm making the need of Hajj Badal for my father or mother. So the one time need is will be okay, or when he touching the stone, he mentioned touching again. This is touching for my father or mother.
What type of Hajj are you doing?
Hajj Badal for my father.
Yeah. Out of the three, which type of badal? Hajj Ifrad badal, Hajj Tamattu badal, or Hajj Qiran badal?
Hajj Tamattu Badal.
Hajj Tamattu badal, yeah. So, you remember yesterday it was starting, Shabir Sahib was here, I think in Urdu somebody asked a similar question, came up, Walid Sahib. You guys, he paused, okay, I know why he's pausing. Generally, some of the ulama have an issue with Tamattu and Hajj badal, and then we said to me, aap Tamattu hi kar le, aapka kharcha, aapka paisa hai. So for you, but it's fine. If it's your own money, you're doing it for your father, you make the intention at the beginning that, Ya Allah, I'm doing this Umrah for my father, the first one, and I'm doing Hajj, badal. Then after that, you don't need to do any intention. Okay? Just once at the beginning. And if you find it easier, you can do Hajj Ifrad too, if that's easier. Next question. अगर कोई उर्दू में पूछना चाहे तो नो प्रॉब्लम है।
शैतान को मारने का क्या तरीका है और क्या दुआ पढ़नी
ये
है? आपका फेस किस साइड पे होना चाहिए?
ये यानी जब आप जमात पर हो, ठीक है, जो सोहेल भाई ने फरमाया है, ठीक है, कि अगेन सुन्नत तरीका शैतान को मारने का ये एक तरीका जो मशहूर है, जो हज़रत ने फरमाया है कि आप उंगली के दरमियान मुवाजा पेश शैतान, ठीक है, और इस तरह फेंके ताकि बदल आपका बदल थोड़ा सा जाहिर हो जाए, ठीक है। एक और भी तरीके हैं, बट दैट्स एनफ। तरीका ये है,
उसके बाद यहाँ पे कोई दुआ भी पढ़नी है वहाँ पे।
बिस्मिल्लाह अल्लाहु अकबर, यानी तकबीर और तहरीक। इंशाल्लाह वो जो किताब जो आपको मिली थी ना, इंशाल्लाह उसमें वो ये चीज़ें लिखी होंगी इंशाल्लाह।
Okay, if you explain to Hazrat that there is a point, um, on the yeah, on the 11th and the 12th, after the first and the second, there is a point that you'll make dua. The time you spend making that dua towards the Qibla, I think that can be
जी,
quite good.
हाँ, गुड पॉइंट। तो हजरत सोहेल भाई फरमा रहे हैं कि जब आप, एक तो तरीका है मानने का, लेकिन ये भी सुन्नत है कि पहली और दूसरी नमी के दरमियान आप वक्फा करके दुआ फरमाएं, और दूसरी और तीसरी के दरमियान, यानी मिडिल शैतान और आखिर शैतान, उसके दरमियान में भी आप दुआ फरमाएं, ठीक है। तो ये भी एक यानी तरीका है नबी का, सुन्नत का, इंशाल्लाह यू कैन मेक दुआ विद
हमने सुना था कि शैतान को मारते हुए आपका जो चेस्ट का फेस है वो किबला साइड पे होना चाहिए शैतान का।
असल में ये भी ऐसे भी मैं, आई एम ग्लैड यू आस्क्ड, ठीक है, बहुत अच्छा सवाल है, अल्लाह पाक मुबारक करे। ये जो छोटी छोटी चीज़ें हैं ना, आई लव देम, बट आई डोंट से देम ऑन द माइक बिकॉज आई डोंट वांट टू कंफ्यूज पीपल। जो आपने लगाया, तो आपने जो फरमाया है ना, द क्वेश्चन इज कि नबी करीम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने किस तरफ जाकर जमरात को मारा, ठीक है। हकीकत है हजरत कि आप जहाँ भी जाएं आपकी नबी हो जाएगी, लेकिन इफ यू वांट टू फुलफिल द सुन्ना, you have to go to the left of the jamarat. That's considered ashran. आमदन लोग, you go to the right, left पे जाए, ताकि आप इस तरह खड़े हो कि मक्का आपके लेफ्ट पर है, मीना आपके राइट पर है, ठीक है। तो इंशाल्लाह अगर आप सुन्नत के इत्तिबा से ये करेंगे, अल्लाह पाक आपको और अजर देगा, ठीक है। लेकिन अगर जब आप पहुंचेंगे ना, इतनी भीड़ भाड़ होती है, कभी कभी अगर आप थोड़ा आगे जाएंगे ना, यानी शैतान लंबा है, ठीक है। वो स्लाइड पर भी मैंने लिखा था, एक सेकंड, ये मौलाना रशीद साहब, एक सेकंड, कहाँ हो चुका है, आप तो ये तस्वीर आपको नजर आएगी, एक सेकंड। हाँ, ये मेरा माउस आपको नजर आ रहा है इस पे, तो ये शैतान है, ठीक है। ओके, तो ये इसकी काफ़ी लंबा है। तो जिस तरह याद है हमारे ज़माने में वो गांव में एक ही टीवी होता था, कैफे रेलमुल, गांव वाले बच्चे देखने आते थे। आप तो नहीं, आप देख हैं दूसरे बच्चे। फिर वाइड स्क्रीन आया, फिर 15 आया, 20 इंच आया। तो जिस तरह स्क्रीन साइजेस बढ़ती गई है, शैतान की साइज भी बढ़ता गया है। अब ये बिल्कुल दीवार बन चुकी है, ठीक है। तो जो आप फरमा रहे हैं कि इस पर कि आप जहाँ भी जाएंगे ना, ये आपके जो सेठ भाई ने फरमाया था, वेल कुआं, ये आपको नजर आ रहा है यहाँ, फॉलो माय वॉइस। तो आप जहाँ से भी आपको मौका मिले, अगर आप अखीर में जाएंगे ना, एंड पर लोग थोड़ा जोश में आ जाते हैं, बिल्कुल दीवार के पहली हिस्से पर देख कर ही मान लें, फिर आप उनको बाईपास करें, और इंशाल्लाह आगे जाकर आपको बहुत सुकून से इंशाल्लाह आसानी से आपकी नबी हो जाएगी। जी, नेक्स्ट, गुजराती में भी आप पूछ सकते हैं, सुहेल इज गुजराती बेटर देन माइन।
One thing to bear in mind, brothers, is after doing this, there's so many. No matter how many times we run the Hajj program, no matter how many times we go through it, how many times we drill it, how many times we talk about it, how many different programs we go to, there'll always be certain aspects or a small nuance or small detail that we'll miss out. But by missing that out, it won't make any difference to your Hajj. The point I'm trying to make here is so vast that you could apply so much from the Sunnah, and you could apply so much from the different literature, that it becomes very complicated as well. So what we advise is mainly the Sunnah and most of the mustahabats in there as well, inshallah. So don't get too bogged down. The mainstay and the bulk of what you need to do to make sure you fulfill the rights of Hajj, inshallah, is being covered in everything. At any point, if we feel that there's certain detail that is, not critical but is important to impart, then inshallah we'll fill that in. Also, you've got to bear in mind that all of you will be performing Hajj with different groups. There will be certain aspects of the Hajj you might be performing with other schools of thought. For example, if it's Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, or whether it's Salaf, you'll get all of them. The biggest difference is usually between the Hanafi and the Salaf understanding, none of which will be, imposed upon you. So don't feel bogged down that, okay, this person's going to tell me this, I'm going to have to do it this way. Your understanding and your education is firm enough for you to think, no, I'm going to stick with this because this is what I was told, then stick with that. Unfortunately, as is with this human nature, what happens, we get bogged down with detail, and then we suddenly become, once you read one kitab, you suddenly become an expert, and you start telling another person what to do. And that can make a very, very big impact on their Hajj and on their mindset as well. What I would advise, unless it's been clarified by a scholar, or unless you're very versed and very learned yourself, don't advise another Hujjaj as to what to do if they're set in their way of doing what to do. Tell them to turn to a scholar, because we find ourselves in so many instances when we're there that we get approached by certain Hujjaj saying, oh, he said this, he said that, and he said that. And then we're saying, hang on a minute, I'm the one who actually told him what to do, so how is he told me to do it that way? Does that make sense? And these are the way of the shaitan as well. It happens, we've seen it, and what we don't want last time is you've done all these preparations, all this hard work, and you find that somebody's put doubt in your mind, and you don't know which way to go. You don't want to find yourself in that position. So just keep an open mind. You've done a lot of the preparations. Alhamdulillah, I've seen many of you in many of the programs. Continue preparing. As I said yesterday and the previous program as well, we're constantly learning and evolving ourselves. Every time we go there, we learn something new, and we get advice of something new as well, which we weren't aware of before. With time, you become more and more firmer and a little bit more resolute and confident in what you're doing. So inshallah, just you've done what you can. Now leave it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide you in the right direction, and we make dua, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us in the right direction, inshallah. So let's continue with any more questions we may have, inshallah.
I just ask Mufti Sahib, if we repeat this Sunnat letter for learning again, अगर आपको दोबारा दोहरा दें, तरीका सुन्नत तरीका।
असल में ये काम कर रहा हूँ, मैं इंशाल्लाह डायग्राम बना लूँगा, वो बेहतर रहेगा। I can't really describe it क्योंकि एक क्या है जमरात भी नहीं है, और दूसरा एक लोग कंफ्यूज हो जाएंगे, ठीक है? मैं आपका अब एक डायग्राम इंशाल्लाह, तो लेकिन हज़रत वो बहुत अच्छा है, अल्लाह पाक आपको मुबारक करे। जब आप पैदल हज जाएंगे ना, I'll show you myself. ठीक है, that's the best for that.
How many of you are intending on walking for Hajj or pedal Hajj? Oh, inshallah, very good.
ये सुहेल की वजह से हाँ ना करें, ये मैं भी अब हाँ चलो ठीक है,
inshallah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. As long as you don't hit anyone, as long as you don't hit anyone, you used to do well, shortcut is good. Yeah, don't shortcut it from back there.
You get people throwing slippers and umbrellas.
So to be honest, there is no shortcut. As long as you either hit the ball and it falls in that well zone, or you don't hit the ball and it still falls in the well zone. So to be honest, the nearest you're going to be, if you see where that the model is of the Kaaba Sharif, this is probably the closest you'll be able to get, yeah. But you must have a good arm in it. When you play cricket, you're probably fielding up to third man.
Also remember this, when we go to, when we speak to our elders, our family members, they say, oh, you want to be careful towards the Jannah, it's big rush, big problems. Alhamdulillah. Every single time we've been, we casually, slowly, laughing and joking, walking, and before we're talking amongst ourselves, and before you know it, you're right at the diwal, at the well, at this point. Where you see the closest point. I say, Aram say, with Sahula and easily done, no problem, there's no rush. 5 levels. Everybody, they're very strict in the way they move the public and the traffic. There's so much room, so much space, and you have all the time to do your Umrah. Even at the most busiest point, for example, on the 10th of Zilhaj, when everybody's going to the first one, it's still over 5 levels, and it'll be nice and easy, with itminan, with focus, with concentration, without being rushed and pushed. You have all the time in the world. So don't feel as if you're going to be bogged down with space and time and rushing along. Nothing like that at all. Tight clothes, plenty of time, plenty of space, and the traffic is well managed, so you'll be very, very easy performing as your arkan on those the days of Tarawih, inshallah.
As to regard to logistic, the Qurbani, the Saudi SIM number.
Yeah.
We have to get one to give you that number, then you will contact us on that.
So let's talk about the communication. There's two options. I know we talk about the channels, and we don't normally include it in the program, so much. We'll talk about it since last. If you've got your UK WhatsApp number, okay, your UK WhatsApp, if you get a SIM card from the UK, put it into your phone, your WhatsApp will automatically work with that SIM card, so don't worry about that. You've got two options. You could now have what we call an eSIM, which is a virtual SIM, which is just a code, you put it in your phone if your phone allows it, you'll have data all the time. So you'll have the UK number, and you'll have your data as well. It's called an eSIM. We generally use AirAllo, it's called. Google it, AirAllo. AirAllo, okay? You could download a package for about £10. You'll get about 3-4 gig of data, which is more than ample to communicate. Hardly many people, unless you know the locals, nobody uses a local SIM card anymore. Everybody is on Telegram and everybody is on WhatsApp. Everybody calls with Telegram and WhatsApp nowadays. And you've got the other ones as well. Google Duo, you've got Voting, Google Teams. You've got these different communication platforms. So that's one option if you want data. You know, what we call internet, if you want internet. AirAllo. If you're like me, traditional, and you like a physical SIM card, no problem. When you arrive at the airport, if you've got time, buy it from there. If not, when you get into the city, you could buy it from the phone shop. There's only three networks anyway. There's Mobley, STC, and Zain. Those are the three main ones. We normally use Mobley because we found we never had any problems with it. We pay about £25. We'll probably about £20. We'll get about 10 gig of data, unlimited calls on there as well, and you'll get a local number as well. So if you want to communicate with a local number, that's possible. It'll also have about 100 minutes of international calls as well. So if you want to call UK, you can do as well. So those are the two options you've got in terms of communication. So to answer your question regarding Hadi, the number you provided, if you booked your Hadi on Nusuk, the number you provided or the email you provided will communicate to you on that. Please though, do remember, this is for everybody. If you pay for your Hadi on Nusuk, on adahi.com on Nusuk, please remember that they may not be, well, they're not following the Hanafi madhab. So you might not know, but they may have done your Qurbani at 6, 7 in the morning, and they will only notify you later on. So this is the reason when everybody was booking the packages, we advised not to book your Hadi through Nusuk. Book it separately from your provider or from another independent person, just to be on the safe side, just on the side of caution. I've had a lot of Hujjaj asking me, Sohail, I've already paid for it, what do I do now? So I said to them, just do another one, just to be on the safe side, and the one that you have with Adahi, or the one you paid on Nusuk, just use that as a sadaqah. You could do that as well. That means he's happy with my answer, otherwise I would not bother.
That's Imran to my left, Arwa. He's in charge of the IT.
Anyways, but this is a lot better, isn't it? Because we've done all the talking, you've got questions in your mind, fire away, and we'll answer them, inshallah, before we move on to Medina. These are all the penalties. What Mufti Shabir Sahib said yesterday, mashallah, it was amazing to see how he gave yesterday regarding being bogged down with what do I do if my hair falls off? Do I go sacrifice a camel because I've lost a hair? We get that all the time.
If you're doing this method and you're in Indonesia, do you recommend traveling to Mecca for your day prayer?
Why not? I answered that question this morning in another seminar, because Abdul Muhammad Sky Travel is down the road. His package is going to be in Azizia for 5 days before Hajj. So our Jamaat, we've always stayed in Azizia. We've never actually stayed at Hajj time towards the Haram. We've always been in Azizia. We like Azizia for a few reasons. One, strategically, it's an amazing place. Very close to Mina and not too far from the Haram either. All your food, all your shopping, all your laundries, everything is there. Everything. Every street corner has a masjid. Every street has about 4 or 5 shops. Every street has I'm 9 service if you want to steam your clothes and flatten out the jubbas and the toes. So strategically, commercially, logistically, practically, Azizia is a very good place. If you're in the MCD, some of the MCDC packages and all of the Al-Bayt packages, shifting packages, everybody are in Azizia. There's about 6 residences at different points in Azizia. So location-wise, brilliant place where you have everything. Top end, you've got a massive window, same size as Tesco and Asda. The bottom end, you've got another window, same size as Azizia, same size as Tesco and Asda that we have here. Both within a mile and a half of each other. So either side, whether you're staying that side or whether you're staying on that side, very accessible. Remember, you've got local shop. If you need a toe clipper, if you need a towel, if you need Vaseline, if you need a moisturizer, if you need a drink, if you need painkillers. Organic food. Organic food is closed now. It's closed, yeah. Food, plenty of places there. Everything that you want is in Azizia, is the best place to be. If you want to buy abayas and if you want to buy thobes just to wear in the days of Hajj, we normally walk into one shop, we buy 5 and that lasts us for the rest of our Hajj. No problem. 10, 15 pounds, that's it. Plenty. Azizia is good for shopping on the outskirts. Now, you asked me, is it quite good to Salah? Okay, so this is the different things that we do. On one day, we might think, today let's pray Tahajjud and Fajr in Haram. So, we'll probably wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, either we'll walk it or get a taxi, we'll just go to the Haram, we'll pray Fajr there, we'll pray Tahajjud Fajr, Ishraq, come out, have some nashta, head back to Azizia, and then just stay there until the night. One option. We might pray Fajr and Zohar in our local masjid in Azizia, they're everywhere, plenty of them. We might pray Zohar, Asr there, and then you know what, let's head towards Haram for Maghrib. We'll go from Maghrib to Haram, or go from Asr to Haram, we'll stay there until Isha, after Isha we'll eat, we'll head back to Azizia. Until the 6th of Dhul Hajj, plenty of taxis available, plenty of transport available, and you can walk it as well. It's after the 7th of Dhul Hajj that it gets a bit busy and the rates for the taxi will go up. Not that they're trying to take advantage of the Hajj, not the case. They're poor people. It's their time to earn. Just like our taxi drivers in the UK at Christmas, they earn. Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, they earn. It's exactly the same for them. The biggest day for them is the 10th and the 11th of Dhul Hajj, which is very busy for them to make an earning and living. So taxis are a bit expensive. Expect to pay up to 25, 30 pounds per head sometimes, just to get from 1 mile to 2 miles. But the point I'm making is what you asked is, yeah, you could go to Haram as often as you want, you could come back as often as you want, you could stay as long as you want. Absolutely no problem at all. You make your own way. And it's easy, very easy. Which package are you with? Let me just go further.
I'm going to Pakistan.
Oh, Pakistani group, do you know where you're staying in Azizia? No, it's fine, no problem. Just join the Fala group, drop us your accommodation, and we'll send you a link to a start location, so we'll send you the route to get to Haram. Very easy. If you're with the Pakistani group and you look like a streetwise brother, inshallah, so you'll have no problems. I say to everybody, Haram, Azizia areas, if you're used to going to Dubai, Egypt, Turkey, Sharm el Sheikh, Hurghada, places like that, Azizia is exactly the same. Within a few days, within a couple of days, you know everything where everything is, and you get so familiar with moving around. In fact, I would say this, you'd probably tell us which is the shortcuts after that. Inshallah.
Just a small announcement regarding the Hajj groups. For the sisters that have any questions, what's on the screen right now, on the right hand side, there's the brothers set up or the girls set up a Masai group, women's other discussions, and I think I can just inform that Munira Ahmed Tahriz Quran, she's with us upstairs, Allah Pak reward her, so that's our group. So you can either try her down right now or contact her later. If there's anything besides that, they can send in questions down, but hopefully that'll be enough. For the males, the link to the left is Al-Falah Hajj Group. Lots of traffic on it, to be honest, but it's some useful stuff, useful information. Sohail keeps an eye on it and escalates something because he knows I'm probably not going to see most of them. And if you just want a group for Muslim side, you're stuck, you need something answered, in the top right, mail Q&A, if you just use my name and message that number, we'll add you to just an Islamic Q&A group. But inshallah, you'll have better guidance or just as good guidance from the people you're with that have been appointed. So I'll leave this up at break time. If you guys want to take a break, sort of get it in, if Moaz and one of the boys are around, maybe collect everybody's details so we can send them out a copy of the slides if they want to go over anything.
Brother, you don't need to worry about which group or which partner or which country you're traveling in, whether you're traveling from South Africa or Pakistan or India, or whichever route you take, inshallah. For our guidance, alhamdulillah, we try and direct as many and as anybody as possible. The good thing here is, alhamdulillah, we're so fortunate that we've got over 100 years of worth of experience in that group. We've got, alhamdulillah, Mufti Sahib gives a lot of luck for the big element of it in terms of practicality, logistics. Alhamdulillah, we've got very good connections with all the providers that we've been traveling with as well. Whichever one that is, we've got good connections with them. So if there's an issue, we can reach out to them. And furthermore, I was sitting here will tell you that we've got a wealth of resources available now, which wasn't available even as little as 4 or 5 years ago. So you're very fortunate in that you've got so much information there, and to a point I actually say in a lot of the seminars that it's actually, it's intellectual paralysis or social media paralysis. That you get so much that you sometimes get confused with it as well. So it's very, very important to moderate and have a balanced approach to a lot of the resources available. Look at it easily confuse you. But if you stick with this, inshallah, you will be guided in the right direction. So if there's no more questions, we could break up for a little while before Mufti Sahib will start moving on to the last part of the seminar, which is inshallah.
Yeah, just since we're going to break time, I want to change the topic a little bit. This is connected but nothing to do with Hajj. Okay, so see this image on the top right? Now you see that? Yeah. What are you seeing?
Full skin.
So say this room was filled with 100,000 Qurbanis. They actually do probably a million Qurbanis there. And the non-Muslim comes to you and says, what kind of religion is this? Blood everywhere. Yeah. You're supposed to be a religion of peace. You're supposed to be, you're supposed to be taking care of the creation of Allah. You're all just a farce. Okay, and that image is there in front of you. What answer are you going to give? Okay, let me look into your own son or daughter comes to you and says, Baba, this is what they said at school. What answer are you going to give? The reason why I'm posing the question is because last night we did a program. We went to a book launch in Bradford. So contemporary theological challenges and their solutions. One of my cycle being Sasa, friend of mine, alhamdulillah. Because reality is that the world is such that we need to be in positions now to answer these questions. Okay? I'm going to give you some answers. Because it's up to us as individuals with a bit of da'wah to be able to present Islam to the world. That's our responsibility, is it not? So these are the type of questions that you'll get. I'll give you a few answers just because I've teased you with it. And inshallah, when you get time, if you ever do get time, because we're on break time, that's why I'm just messing up. Can you think of an answer, a reasonable answer? Just put your hand up. Cleanest, efficient way. Non-Muslim's going to say to you, what's clean about blood everywhere? So he'll build a picture of you and your ihram.
Walking around Makkah with blood all over me.
Okay. So they're going to say the cleanest way is not to kill it in the first place. So that's the next one. I like enjoy this. Puzzle Mama end पर आएगा. इनको कुछ देखने इनमें माशाल्लाह काफी खूबी है. Yes.
The animal is least distressed when the van or when it's stopped.
Okay, it's least distressed here.
It's a long answer. I can give you more.
Well, 2 seconds. Look, everybody's going to get an answer.
But it's more hygienic and it's
1 second, you can jawab de rahe. We'll go to hygiene in a second. Other you said, Other said that killing of the animal is least stressful here. So, if I put a graph of neuron activity, you can measure the activity in a brain. The spike will go through the roof, and then you take a bleed. So how can you say it's least stressful when the science is saying that there's a lot of they are claiming that the animals feel pain? There's no doubt. As we आनंद से मालामा खालिद महमूद साहब कह रहे हैं कि पहले सबको जोड़ो फिर जोड़ो, ठीक है? Fazil Mama, next you go. You know कहने के मौली साहब.
Very, very briefly, 2-3 minutes. About early 90s, we had a problem in our area. Lot of our Muslim children were going to school and they were feeding them with haram food. So all the parents and there got 10 or 15 brothers got together, we made a committee out of it, and we approached the council to supply halal food. So they said, why do you want halal food? So then we went to their slaughterhouse. There's a guy with a gun killing him for 3/4 an hour, 1 hour. If it misses the head, then another guy doing it. So the way we do it, alhamdulillah, is more hygienic and it's more hygienic, plus it's not cruelty to animal. The way we do the halal animal from the throat, within a few seconds all the blood comes out and the brain goes dead. So that way the animal is not suffering and they say it's cruelty to animal. So we said the way you are killing the animal in the slaughterhouses, that is more cruelty than the Islamic way. Yes? Plus, if the blood is infected or if the animal is ill, all the infection and everything comes out. And this is why it's sunnah to wash the meat 3 times before you cook. And just give you one example, about 4 years ago, we went and bought some porter cabins from Masjid Ali, about 7. And there was a Jewish woman, we approached and she was actually eating the meat. And I said, what are you doing? This is filthy. So she said, why? I said, look, in our Islamic way, we have to kill the animal from the throat, so all the infected blood comes out, and then you have to wash it 3 times. And if you wash it 3 times, you wash all the filth and the blood comes out of the meat. She rang me especially a week later, and he says, Faz, thank you very much. He says, I washed the meat, and the filth and the blood that came out, it was very bad. I hope this answers the question.
Fazil Mama, your answer is it's more hygienic, yes, compared with other techniques to kill animals. I'm a non-Muslim, I'm a vegan. I'm saying to you the best hygiene is you don't kill it in the first place. Both of you are unhygienic. Abdi and the non-Muslim slaughterhouses, the meat eaters, you're all cruel people. The best hygiene is you don't kill it in the first place. So, आपका जवाब क्या होगा? I'm just waiting next. Asli, this is life. Boys, tell me, you sit in workplace, okay, call center, the conversation, go to the left, yeah. This is what they're thinking. What I'm doing is nothing, I'm just being blatant about it, okay? But this is why we come to these gatherings. Like anyone else? Come on, guys, we cannot let this atheist vegan win. Come on, honestly, Karma, come up with something. एक तो जवाब को जी हजरत माशाल्लाह मौलाना मोहम्मद जुदा महमूद के भाई.
First of all, it's sunnah to do it. And the thing is, the Qurbani, in a way, feeds the poor people who never ever see meat in the land. I mean, most of this Qurbani will be good.
I say, you know what? I gotta give it to you. It's a half an answer. So Hazrat Shuaib is saying that first of all, it's sunnah. I'm a non-Muslim. I don't care about Sunnah. I don't even believe in the Prophet. That's that done. Okay? That's what they'll say. Secondly, feeding the poor. Why don't we just not kill the animals and spend that money on getting some grass from Jeddah and giving it to them so they're hungry? Or buying some other plant-based diet?
Well, it could be done that way, but
don't say it could be done that way, yeah? Next question.
Oh,
this is bad. Next question.
Was it the hukum of Allah? Because Ibrahim
Listen, the
They said, oh, don't 100%, they're not Muslim, they don't care about Allah. This is what they don't care. They said, oh, we don't believe in Allah, we don't believe, we're just talking to you on a level about what's right and wrong. Next, anyone else want to try? Marisa, yeah, college is a complicated but yeah. The Shika Mano, yeah, Marisa, yeah, Marisa. You know, just something, they give him a mic, God will give him the mic, let him expound upon, you don't know one of the answers. Yeah, you must be a Dalal graduate.
Allah Ta'ala's created a food chain for a reason.
Okay.
It keeps the world in balance. If world or all the animals breed and we don't do anything about it, what's going to happen to us? There'll be no space for us. They'll take over the resources of the world, the water and everything. So there's a food chain. We're just keeping it in balance. But Allah Ta'ala's kept our system.
Yeah, mashallah. That's one of the answers. Very good. So what Maulana is saying is if you left all the cows, all the camels, all the buckwheats at loose, there would come a time when they eat all the grass in the world and they'd have to come to Manchester United ground to eat that grass too, then they go to Manchester City and eat that grass. Yeah, you can think about it logically. That's one of the answers, mashallah. Finally, there's one answer. I'll give you the other answers because I think you're all interested more in this than that. Yeah. Okay, number one. Okay. Hazrat, that was a bit unclear to you. You know when science shows you a graph, okay, and it knows that there's something happening in the brain. They claim it's pain. They claim it's pain. What proof does science have that it's pain in the brain? How do you not know that that animal might be remembering Allah? And that's why its brain pain. Yeah, that's one answer. Yeah. They've always said that science will, it will say that there's something happening, but we don't know. Maybe that's the pain of the soul leaving, nothing to do with your knife. Okay? Maybe the animal is remembering Allah. That's one answer. Second answer is what Hadith already mentioned about the food chain logically. Okay, there's one other answer I'll share with you. Who here's had antibiotics? Yeah, I'm not getting antibiotics yet. How do antibiotics work? Even vegans have antibiotics yet. Antibiotics are designed to kill what in your body? Living organisms, bacteria. Yeah? So if I'm claiming that the animal is a living being, so my question to them is why do you not give the same rights to the bacteria in your body that's also living and not kill them when it comes to these animals? If you think about it logically, yeah? Logically, you should be fighting for the rights and banning antibiotics but then they'll come back and they'll say, no, 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 but that if we don't do that, then our disease will kill us. If we don't do that, then our disease will kill us, yes? Yes? But we would answer that if the animals took over the world, then there may come a time where we'd start dying because they ate all our crops and they start eating all our meat, okay? And the final answer, I'm going to finish on this, Hazrat Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi, amazing answer here, absolutely ballistic answer. He says, because Hazrat Baba, this comes to the point that when we are dealing with non-Muslims, our end goal is to connect them to Allah and His Rasul. That's always the end goal, yeah? So, Hazrat Thanvi Rahmatullah says that when a Muslim butcher cuts the Qurbani, yeah, he thinks to himself, okay, that everything in this world has been made for the service of man. Fossil fuels, we own them. Plants, they bow down to us. Animals, whether it's camels, we can, there's no animal that we cannot control or shoot, okay? So every single thing in this life, whether it's living or non-living, Allah Ta'ala created for us as human beings. Why? So that you mankind, you vegan person, you can serve Allah. Everything in this world serves us. You're supposed to serve Allah and you remind yourself when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you that power of taking that animal's life away, inshallah. And then it reminds them, yeah, you know what? They're right. Everything around us is for us. Who are we for? We for Allah. So this is the answer of Hazrat Ashraf Ali Thanvi Rahmatullah alayhi. There are other answers, okay? I just thought I'd play around because it's getting a bit bored. Should we get them a break? Should we leave it then?
So inshallah we'll break up for a little while and the last session will be inshallah Medina. And as I said, inshallah, Mufti Sahib will be running through that. Before then, if there's any more questions, please bear them in mind. We'll have another little question and answer session towards the end. Inshallah, we'll continue from there. Jazakallah.
Should we put you in for 5 minutes to just prep it?
We'll have a little muzakara between ourselves in time, inshallah.
Are you telling the body to keep talking? I'm telling
Requesting.
No, don't run away. Apparently, the China says it's getting late. So, I'll go over a couple of things very quickly. We won't start the lead up on what I will do is I'll share some of the resources. Okay, take a picture of this for Qurbani. This is Maulana Osama, Sohail, these boys. If you want Hadith service at Hajj, a reliable Hadith service, okay. Again, we're doing this for khidmat of the Hajj. I don't make a penny from this. Sohail, do you make any money on that? No. He doesn't make any money on that. So take a picture of it if you do need. We had a question in the Sky Direct program where the brother had actually given his Qurbani to Nusuk. He'd already paid, what was it, Asif, 870 riyals or something? And he said, look, I'm not sure about timing. And the thing is, the Muftis will try to bail you out if you have no control. But if you have, I told him, look, just pay these guys. It's a lot cheaper than Nusuk. And make sure that you get your Qurbani done at the right time. Inshallah, you will have more peace of mind. And you won't have any issues there, hopefully, on the day. Penalties, these are just, again, hopefully you won't need them. If you do, you can look back at them. I'll leave the women's specific matters. I try to sort of combine the most popular masail of women issues, but you can look at that. I think that Halima will look past in my presentation by now. Walking to Hajj. So this is actually the minimum amount. Okay, you end up walking more because you end up sidetracking, getting lost, taking a detour, doing khidmat. How much did you do last year? 100 miles? 90. Who did 100?
He did 100.
No, he.
I bet a few extra.
Oh, he must have done it.
He did 100.
I never get lost. I just find an alternative route.
No.
2022 was 90 miles, 2023 was 130 miles. Over
100 what?
130 miles.
130 miles of walk.
Towards the end of Arafah. With all these brothers, they still get angry.
Yeah. So, if things go to plan, especially when you're doing khidmat, mashallah, 100 miles walking in 7 days, 6 days, that's a lot of walking, yeah.
Mufti have touched upon the point of the Qurbani. Remember, it's nothing to do. I mean, this is a Hajj. The main expense that's incurred for Hajj, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you for that, and you pass that as well. So then these little minor inconveniences and these minor little challenges that we faced, and people start talking about, and it's unfortunate that Hujjaj come to us and say, oh, I found a honey which is £15 cheaper elsewhere. I said, by all means, we don't do the honey for money or for any sort of financial gain whatsoever. It's simply a service and it's simply a provision for the Hujjaj to make their life easy. Not just that, we go one step forward. We still want to go one step further and say we do that so that there's no doubt in your the rights of the 10th of Zil-Hajj. Why do I say this? Because there's going to be, sadly, there are going to be Hujjaj who bid for the Hadi online or to anybody, and there's no certainty as to when their Hadi will be performed, whether it's going to be 6 in the morning before the pelted Darami, or whether it's going to be later on in the evening. The point I'm trying to make is this is a peace of mind. This is assurance that is being carried out by a British-born, British-educated alim who now lives in Saudi Arabia, and animals which have been fed by ourselves. We transported 1,000 kilograms of hay from Jeddah to Makkah to feed these 1,000 animals, simply because there's not enough hay in Makkah to feed the animals. Do people think about this? We have to give clean water to these animals. We've got to check these animals on a weekly basis that they're in good health because they've already been paid for. If any of those animals either run away or pass away or become unwell, then they become ineligible for Hadi. If they're not well or they die, we can't use them for Hadi. Does anybody tell you that where they've used an animal that was almost dead or become very unwell? Did anybody check that these animals are within age or whether animals are in good health? These are the things that we ensure so that you've got a peace of mind that your Hajj has been fulfilled to the absolute T, to the best of our understanding. And this is why we do what we do at Mufti Osama in Makkah. We personally check the animals on a weekly basis when we get there. We'll go and check the animals as well. They've been transported to a certain area, looked after in a certain area, and they will be the same animals that we used. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already allocated the animal that will be fulfilled for your Hajj rights, for your Zabiha on that day, inshallah. So these are the small things that people don't pay attention to. Sadly, we get so many different groups and providers saying to us, oh, it doesn't really matter, you're being too strict with the rules, just get the Qurbani done so they can come out of that ihram. Is that why you've come there? Is that the kind of focus you need to have? Is this the assurance and the peace of mind that you need? So again, these are the small attention to detail that we fulfill that and we make sure that are fulfilled so that you've got peace of mind that you've done everything you can and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put some tadings in place for you to inshallah do that as well. So there's ajr for yourselves and inshallah ajr for the brothers who are taking the responsibility of this as well. Jazakumullah. I think that said, inshallah we're ready for a little bit of a break now.
Let me just run through. I'm just telling you what these slides are in case you want them afterwards. These numbers have been collated over many years. Everything from food services, ziyarat in Makkah Sharif, Medina Sharif. I can't vouch for the numbers working, not working, but in case you need it. I've gone through this. This is Fazil Mama's dua sheet. It's been reorganized. So again, if you wish to use this, alhamdulillah, if you have your own, the kitabs you'll have extra, that's fine as well, inshallah. Ziyarat guide, we're going to do this after, and conclusion we'll do this after, inshallah. Okay, sales update. Sorry, Muaz, are we already in the back? Still more time? Everybody, if they can make their way, inshallah, to the back. No? Yeah, I'm not very good at sign language. 5 minutes, chalo 5 minutes. Chalo, we'll just start. Chalo 5 minutes, taking each other. Yeah. Taking each other. Wuzu shuzu.
سبحانك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Oh, yeah. Send you video. You can send it to me as well. Is it? What? I thought that you said you're not on WhatsApp. Oh, now you are. Huh? I said I'm not on WhatsApp here. So she sent me, and I look at it. I don't know why. I can send it to Hashim. Usually 5 pages. Yeah, usually.
What should email address? Just type it in. All the prices there.
Oh, right, okay.
What did you do?
because this is what I was trying to figure out from the times that what Ahmed has been on the internet and from the browsing. Every time I was trying to ask him a question, he was just on his internet.
Read everything, yeah. Internet. Zakariyya is a good lawyer. What's a really lawyer thing about being Muslim? You studied in Darman Bari too? Well, he was not before me, but he studied in the madrasa. Yeah. Yeah, Shukran, you go. So yesterday I put this up. Yeah. But it's all okay.
So with the flip-flops,
Yeah.
Oh.
Very, no, I was going to make a suggestion. See if you've got any shoe, you can cover this whole part. All of this could be covered. The top can be uncovered. Is that possible? Forget about everything else. Forget the shoes. Is it possible for you to just uncover this portion and then there's two positions about whether it's uniform or task. So as a guideline, that's fine. As long as these, because here they're uncovered, and so you can cover all this. If you want to put them on, you need to go on that group. Every year we get literally 40 questions just on sandals. Do you want to come inside? Mine's okay. Mine's okay. We've got time. Are you waiting for me? No.
No, just listening.
Flick through this. If you want to flick through the slide, no problem.
So that's wrong. That's wrong. मुझे प्रॉपर मुझे एक पट्टी वाले से देख flip-flops. 100 definitions of flip-flops. I mean this. But this is flip-flop jean flip-flop try quite job. Huh? That's what I was saying. That movie.
Okay, so okay. It's like those socks everywhere. Trainer socks. It's like trainer socks. mean, there's even Hanafi scholars that would join the namaz. What I would do, personally speaking, is I would join with them and make intention of nafal. So I'm not breaking the unity, and then afterwards, only 2 rakat, pray anytime. You know what I mean? That's what I do.
So basically, I pray my Zohar at my own time and just join the. But then the thing is, what I said, maybe things you won't have that energy. The Zohar time,
Alright, if you want to join them with the intention of doing the proper Zuhur, then just stand up and do Asr. Join them in one hour, and then you do Asr. So that's what I do mostly today. That's what I'm doing today. So I'm getting the more you think, the more competition there are in the fatwa of Islam courses. There's lots of trials that people might know less about. But if somebody does argue on the problem, doesn't matter. See, I'll tell you why I always try to do things proper before I start praying. Or is like, one thing that I like doing is I like doing nothing. If you read your Asr at 2 o'clock, and you read your nothing for nothing, that's why sometimes, so when I was in Jordan, with Ali Talib, Muhammad Talib, my teacher, those boys joined, so I used to, I prayed with them, but I didn't make every intention. But I'm glad because when I went into the Fajr, good, I got there. So what I did was, I was one of the very few people that hadn't been Asr at Asr time. But then I had to do my Asr in front of the whole tents. I thought, you know what, bring that one. Because they're not young, they're not young youth or anything. So I'm glad I could do my Asr back then. So when you do if you want to join there generally in travel, the fatwa is there, you can do it. From Hanafi Mufti, outside Mufti. But my position always is that when you're doing these 2 okay, this summer months, what was it, 7 hours. Okay, 7 hours sleep. So that's why I don't, I those ones, I'll tell you guys, many people have got a new way of what they take the but if your intentions is right, you want to travel, anything, join the prayers, alhamdulillah, do it. There's some people that do it when other people are not around. I don't know, we don't go with that. Well, that's again, that's the thing, yeah, people are Muslims. Most people, you don't have to read one every one day, whichever way you do it. Whichever way you do it. Okay, that's nice to meet you. Okay, you guys have a nice week. Yeah, okay, no problem. I'll send you the yeah, yeah. You've got 15 minutes to do one alarm or 15 slides. What do you do? Top thing tonight. Take the mic and do the job. This will take you 5 minutes to read. Not even 5 minutes, 3 minutes. ठीक है ज़ियारा जो मदीना मुनव्वरा है ठीक है you can read my notes, use them. If you don't want to use them, use your own stuff. ठीक है Prophet message, some fadail, do's and don'ts.
ठीक है, and just some stuff about ziyarat. ठीक है इंशाल्लाह. How hard is that book? For heaven's sake, yeah, 3 slides. Sit here and read it. Or use that if you want. Use that. I've got a charger for Samsung. What do you think, Anne? What do you think, Anne? I've got to Masjid. It's going to be 5 minutes or 10 minutes. No, you're lucky I do have a charger. Here. Here, too. Yes. You plug it in. Plug it in here. Yeah, plug it in here. ठीक है इंशाल्लाह. See, Asmar, you're telling me to do something. What? Telling me to do something. Battery died, son.
What do you mean? The full 1 hour is yours. All of Medina, bro. You know, this is not going to justice. I stand here for 1 hour, 2 hours. I have no, I never have a script. I just wrote, yeah, everything is good.
I can't do that. I'm not here for money. I don't think so. It's not.
अगर ग्रुप हमारा एक पूरा ट्रेड जाएगा अगर उम्र करना तो सबसे पहले ध्यान में
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. If the brothers and sisters could come back into the hall, inshallah, we'll begin in 5-10 minutes, inshallah, 5 minutes hopefully. Jazakallah khairan.
It's good, everybody.
everybody has to talk. He said, so you have a script? I have no script. I never become I have to learn. But sometimes it helps now. So one walk in the day, things I remember, but then you don't
It's with that. With that. Mike.
You know how do I call it?
Forward line.
You just tell them that I'm going to be away to my own way. We will get home. Your priority is your mom. They're not in a position to walk, and you're not well. Once you realize you can't go to them for your exam. That's fine, I think the तो आपके साथ वहाँ भी काफी कैसे होगा मेरा उधर तक पक्का नहीं है बाकी उधर मैं कोशिश करता हूँ Hakim.
Brothers, inshallah, if you just make your way towards the Zakariyya so we could proceed with Medina, inshallah. One thing, whilst we're waiting for the rest of the brothers to join us, a point to make that my brother just reminded me as well, which is very pertinent, that, after the 10th of Zil Hajj, they'll open the Haram and the Mataf for normal clothes for the next 10 days. So if you wanted to perform Nafil Tawaf after the Tawaf Ziyarah and Tawaf Ifada, after Tawaf Wida, then you'll be able to go into the Mataf in your normal clothes and perform Tawaf if you want to. But I think it's about 7 to 10 days that they'll keep it open for Tawaf, and after that they'll turn to Ihram again. So it's something to bear in mind, inshallah. In that time you'll have time to perform as many Tawaf as you want as well, inshallah.
60 seconds, inshallah, we'll be beginning in 60 seconds.
What's up?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم وما بعد. So I was in Ramadan, I was in this Ramadan, I was there, and I made a small mistake at the end was my stay in Medina Munawwara, and I think because of that Allah Pak's now maybe teaching me a lesson. He's deprived me the opportunity of speaking in Medina Munawwara, so Allah Pak forgive me. But the good thing for you is that you've got someone better than me. Maulana Ilyas Sahib, who you're about to hear from, he is one of your homegrown Boltonians. Deen Road, Deen Eye Opticians. He is your eyes, well, your eyes and your ears and your brains. He will inshallah take you through Medina Munawwara. Maulana is mashallah a local Bolton lad. He's been on Hajj with us. Sometimes you've got to drag him along, but other times he has to drag you along. And he's a graduate of Dalal, Akram, mashallah. He studied the full Dars in the Islamic system, and he's teaching adults, alim class, in one of the Musab Madrasa in Farnworth, which is not too far from here. So he will take you through, inshallah, Ziyarah guide. Ji Sheikh Sahib.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum. Just came to pick salams and Mufti starts putting me on the spot, so if it doesn't last more than 5 minutes, then forgive me. Ziyarah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Masjid. Many of you have probably been for Umrah already, so put your hands up who's been for Umrah already. So vast majority, mashallah. So this particular part you've probably already experienced. So how can we make it different? This is the thing, you're going for Hajj, you're going to possibly complete a Fara'id. How can we make it different? How can we make it better? You've already experienced it before. And for me, the only thing I can say that would magnify this experience so much more would be to read the seerah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I can't emphasize, a person can only love someone the amount that you know that person, isn't it? And you can only appreciate someone. You appreciate a person for a couple of reasons. Number one, the beauty of a person. The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is the most beautiful in his akhlaq, in the way he looked. You appreciate somebody because of what they've done for you. Now, open every single page of the seerah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and you'll see what he Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did for us. Or just reading about the Battle of Badr. Ali bin Abi, he mentions the miracle that happens on the night before Badr, that 300 Sahaba, unprepared, and there's an army of over 1,000 armed to the teeth. And the Prophet ﷺ, he prepares the Sahaba the night before, and a miracle occurs. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives all the Sahaba a deep sleep. Normally, before battle, a person will be what? Apprehensive, scared. And on top of that, you have no means, you are not prepared for a battle. But Ali bin Abi says that the night of the Battle of Badr, I looked at all the Sahaba, and every single one of them were knocked out. Allah mentioned this in the Quran, the Surah Quran. But, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was under the tree, praying Salah all night. It comes that he made the night alive in Arabic. He made the night alive, praying to Allah, Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum, Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum, all night praying for us. So just imagine if that was just one night of our Prophet that he's
And he was saying to the Prophet on the next day in the Battle of Badr, before the Battle of Badr was happening, that, oh Allah, if these Sahaba of yours are killed on this day, then there will be no one to worship you. And he was putting his hands up in the air so much so his shawl falls off the back of his back. Abu Bakr, who was with him, he holds him from the back and said, Alhamdulillah, Ya Rasulullah, you've asked Allah enough. So this is our Nabi, this is just the one glimpse of the seerah of the Prophet that he was stung all night for his ummah. Yeah. So a person, he would appreciate the Prophet if he was to find out the sacrifices that he's done. And we will find that in the seerah of the life of the Prophet, we'll find that. And you love a person because of who they are. Yeah. The Prophet is the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's that person Allah chose to carry his message. And previous prophets were sent for their nation, but the Prophet was sent for the whole of mankind to come to the day of judgment. So, these are some of the reasons why we should study the seerah of the Prophet. And when we study the seerah, the most amazing thing is that our love will increase for the Nabi. Any other human being, if you were to find out about their home life, yeah, you might admire a person, but as soon as you find out how he's like at home, his private life, you find out there's many mistakes, there's many things that are wrong with his akhlaq. However, the Nabi all the wives of the Prophet, so many of them, yeah, every single Sahaba is saying this is the best person I've ever met. So, ziyarah of the Prophet, please do take a copy of a kitab or something on your phone. Yeah, Silatul Mustafa. Yeah, there's plenty of lectures as well online to add to your armor of your Hajj. When you're in Hajj, sometimes, as Mufti was saying yesterday, you'll be in Arafah dinner. You'll be doing dua for hours, inshallah. Yeah, you'll be praying salah, and at times you might need a break. Yeah, and in these little spaces of time, you could read the seerah, which is not as heavy as. Sometimes I find it very relaxing. When I go to sleep, I like to read the seerah of the Prophet. And like this, our love will increase. So when we go to Medina, subhanAllah, the places will come alive. If you've been before without studying the seerah, and then you go to Quba, and the scenes come in front of you. Of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the Sahaba, when the Prophet Sallallahu was coming from Makkah to Medina, the Sahaba, the Ansar, every day, every morning, they would go out to Quba. And those who know Medina, it's a short walk from the center of Medina to Quba. The Sahaba would go out all the way to Quba, and even further out, and they would wait all day until it became dark to wait. And when is our Nabi going to come? So when you go there, you can actually you can see it in front of you. And our religion, alhamdulillah, no other religion has this. We've got Sanad in Hadith. We know what our Prophet said exactly. We've got the places where he walked, what he looked at, where he went, where he's blessed, where he's buried. Is there any other prophet you can say without doubt that he's buried there? No, you can't. Yeah. Our Nabi Sallallahu we know everything about him. But then if we don't access that information, who's at lost? Me and you. Yeah. So, Quba, when you go to Quba, then Quba will become alive. And he Sallallahu when you walk in, he would walk on particular days and he would go and pray in Quba. So like this, I would recommend that you do study before you go to Masjid Nabawi as well. Yeah. One is the Medina itself. Yeah. You've got just one or two main points of ziyarah would be Masjid Quba. Yeah. Normally people, when you go to Ziyarah, they normally go to Masjid Quba, and then outside Quba, you normally find there's a well that used to be there. And it is mentioned about Uthman that he lost the ring of the Nabi in that. There's a longer story to it, but and inside Quba, Masjid Quba as well, there's on the dome there's some markings in which it has been mentioned that the Prophet camels stopped at that particular point. So you got Masjid Quba, another place which is very, very important is the location of Uhud, the Mount Uhud. Yeah. We know in many hadith, the mafhum of which Prophet said it's a mountain that loves us and we love it. Yeah. The ulama mentioned that this is a mountain that will be in Jannah. Yeah. And again, the Battle of Uhud, where do I start in terms of the Sahaba, the sacrifices, what they did on that day? Yeah. The Maidan, the Prophet ﷺ, when he chose his spot in Uhud, how he chose that the mountain should be behind him. Uhud, he chose that the mountain should be behind him, and the ulama mentioned that this is a very massive, this shows that the strategy of the Prophet ﷺ, that not only was he was the best at everything, he was the best on the military as well. So he chose a mountain behind him so that if they were going to lose, then they could go up the mountain. So again, knowing, and Ohol is north of Medina, by the way. So when we went recently, one of the guys that was there from a Yemeni doctor, one of the questions that he was asking is that he doesn't understand why the people of Quraysh, so Makkah is south of Medina. Why, if Ohol is in the north, then why did the Quraysh go to the north? Why didn't they attack the Muslims from the south? So again, the answer to that is that the Medina had many palm trees on the south, and on the left and the right hand side, on the east and the west, there was the volcanic caps. So the only access point they have is from the north. And again, this is Allah SWT chose Medina as a point for the hijrah of the Nabi because it was very protected as well, geographically. So the Quraysh came from the north. So a person when he studies Uhud and the Sahaba, the sacrifices, you know what happened with the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his, let's say, tooth was broken, his cheek, the links of his helmet went into his cheeks. Even in Uhud, if you look at the old photograph, Umar bin Abdul Aziz built little masjids at the spots of these different places. So again, if you study this, when you go to Uhud, you will not just be a mountain, you will not just be a place of geography. You can actually study the different parts. There's even when he was injured and he went up the mountain, there's a little cave where he went up. And this is also present when I went this time, the guys took us there. So please do study Uhud, and if you are going to Medina, the Prophet ﷺ himself would go to Uhud regularly and he would pray to Hamza radiallahu anhu, the master of the Shuhada, and the Sahaba that passed away there. Their graveyard is there. So we owe it to them that at least we should go and visit, pray, remember them. And like this, there are other locations. Ghali Thawr is in just on the outskirts of Medina. Ghali Thawr is a location. Sorry, Ghali Thawr is somewhere else. But so outside of Medina, there's many places, many wells where the Prophet ﷺ drank from himself. Yeah, and these places of location, these locations are. If you go with a guide, they can show you. Okay. Masjid Nabawi itself, as is mentioned over here, that compared to any other masjid, the reward of praying Salah in Masjid Nabawi is multiplied by 1,000 times over here. And that whoever prays 40 consecutive prayers at this masjid of mine, without missing even one, salvation from the fire of hell and salvation from punishment will be destined for him, along with freedom from hypocrisy. So, whenever we shouldn't be missing any namaz with any salah with jama'ah, obviously. And we should be eager to get this reward. And in terms of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself, he Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam his Qabr Mubarak is located in the house of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Aisha is the house. And this is where, when we go in for Salah, this is where we'll be visiting. Again, a person can look up the history of how his last moments, how it happened, and why he was buried in the house of Ma'asha. So, a person, when he's going to Medina for the first time as well, some etiquettes. I haven't had time to prepare, and this have just put me on the spot. But from whatever I can remember, from etiquettes would be obviously that a person would go into Medina with a lot of ihtiram, and he would have a bath before he goes. The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is alive in his grave. Okay? And we, inshallah, have that yaqeen and that umid that will be there. He will be able to see us, he will be able to hear us, inshallah. So a person, he should go in wearing his best clothes, and inshallah, as soon as he gets to Medina, he should try to proceed to the Masjid al-Nabawi to give salam to our Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And whilst on the way, I recently was with one of Isaf, and one of the scholars came to visit him, what they were going for Umrah, one of them was going for Umrah, so he gave some money, it was literally about £5, and he said that when you go to Masjid al-Nabawi, please do give this to one of them as charity. And he also gave a separate amount, and he goes that when you're going to visit the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, then give this money before you visit the Prophet. And there's a Quran ayat that's mansukh now, that mentions that when you visit the Prophet, give some charity. And Ali radiallahu is the only one who actually acted upon that. So if we don't have to do that, if a person wants to give some charity before he visits the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, then this would also be, inshallah, counted as something good, inshallah. So he would proceed to Masjid Nabawi, and he would enter through, I don't know the name of the gate, but the gate, when I went in Ramadan recently, there's only one gate you can enter from. What's that gate called? Babu Salam. Okay. And when I went in Ramadan, what I found was 90% of the time I wasn't able to go next to the Prophet Prophet's grave. The immediate path was blocked off 90% of the time. So I don't know what it would be like in Hajj. And they would make us give salam from, because we were so busy, they would make us give salam from the lane, from the second lane. So again, a person will be, especially like myself, you've been before, you might feel really like at lost that I'm giving salam from far. But obviously Allah knows our intention, and we are going in Hajj time, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was the same situation. So a person should still go with humbleness and remember the sacrifices, remember the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, plenty of Durood Sharif. Yeah. I've asked when I've been in Jama'ah and even recently students, I've asked them, what does Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mean? What is Durood Ibrahim? If I was to ask you something we pray in Salah every day, what do the words actually mean? Dua, what is dua? Dua is to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're asking Allah to send blessings upon the Prophet. We're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to honor the Prophet. So again, if you can't read the seerah, and if you've only got half an hour, even learn what the durood means. When you pray it, pray it from your heart. You're sending durood, you're asking Allah to honor the Prophet, to send blessings upon the Prophet. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, even those 4 words, many of us don't know what it means. So try to, when you say it, mean it. If you say it without meaning, you still get reward, inshallah. Even though some ulama say that if you give dua without any meaning, you don't get any reward. That is the opinion as well. So why lose out on the reward? Why lose out on the feeling? The purpose of words is the meaning. So learn the meaning of the Durood Sharif, and when you're there, pray continuously. So as you're in the masjid, a person should make niyyah for i'tikaf. I'tikaf is seclusion in the masjid only for Allah. Like that, a person will get an extra reward, and he should enter with his right foot. Allahumma ftahli abwaaba rahmatik, and Durood Sharif. Again, this is the i'tikaf of any masjid. But obviously, if you're going to the Prophet's masjid, then it should be even more important. And like this, as it comes to the blessed resting place of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, if he has the opportunity, then you have the different words in Arabic that giving salam. As-salatu was-salamu alayka ya Rasulullah. As-salatu was-salamu alayka ya Habibullah. And these kind of words. Again, if you know the meanings, inshallah, do try to learn them, what they mean before you go, so you mean them. And then to the right side of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, and to the right side of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu is Umar. So again, if you can learn these du'as, and if you get opportunity, and if it's not busy, then we can make dua facing the Qibla, inshallah, at that point. and then we can leave the masjid respectfully. We should be very careful as well. We don't hurt anyone. We shouldn't push anyone. And one of the things that is really hurtful as well is people are there and they just take their phones out and they recording that moment, but it's supposed to be your moment with Allah, your moment with your Nabi. So please, I know we have this culture of taking our phones out. You know, it's enjoy the moment. Put your phones away as much as you can while you're in Makkah and Medina, and just enjoy that moment, enjoy that tranquility, enjoy that oneness with Allah. Yeah. Why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put the Kaaba in the middle of the desert? He could have put it in a place where there was trees and greenery and other things, but he didn't, because he didn't want any distraction. When you come to visit my house, only my house. Tawheed, only one. Don't be distracted. Same with that. We spend so much money, every single second is inshallah very valuable. So the person, please do keep their phones in their pockets as much as possible. And as you leave, inshallah, make intention that you will come back again and give salam as much as you can. And a person, he should try to spend as much time in the masjid as possible as well. Pray Quran, doing the azkar. Mufti I mentioned yesterday as well, Hirful Al-Azam. I definitely recommend that. Again, the du'as in Hirful Al-Azam, try to learn the meanings of those du'as. And when you're there, you'll be spiritual, and your du'as will come out from the heart, inshallah. So, like this, a person, inshallah, he'll be in Medina, and his time will become more valuable. There are other places as well, further out from Medina itself, where he's still visiting. But again, you probably need more time for that. So make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes us from those who love the Prophet as he should be loved. One of the stories that's mentioned here on the side in Mufti's notes, and I'll finish up on this, is in the expedition of Rajib, after the Battle of Uhud, some people they came to the Prophet with a bad intention, and they said, send us some people, because our people want to learn the religion of Allah. Send some people with us. So the Prophet sent between 6 to 10 Sahaba. Asif was one of them. Nathina was one of them. Sohail was one of them. And they went out, and as they went out to a place called Rajib, close to Medina, they were ambushed. And the Sahaba, the 10 Sahaba, 8 of them were shaheed. And the two that were left were captured. So this was after the Battle of Uhud. So what these guys did, what these bandits did, was they sold these 2 Sahaba to the Quraysh so that they could take revenge on the Muslims. Because in the Battle of Badr, many Muslims killed the Kuffar. And in the Battle of Uhud as well, there were some Muslims that Asif he killed quite a few of the non-Muslims. So they wanted these Sahaba so they could take revenge. So it is mentioned about Zayd ibn Thinna, that as he was about to be killed in Makkah, Abu Sufyan says to him that, would you not prefer that your Nabi was here in your place? And the Arabic is here. And he says to the effect that, forget the Nabi being here right now, the buffoon. Yeah? I wouldn't even want to be at home, relaxing with my family, and the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is pricked by a thorn. When he heard these words of Abu Sufyan, he said something. He said, مَا رَأَيْتُ مِنَ النَّاسِ أَحَدًا. I have not seen from the people anyone يُحِبُّ أَحَدًا, that loves anyone كَحُبِّ أَصْحَابِ مُحَمَّدٍ مُحَمَّدًا, that the companions of the Prophet love Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I'm not seeing this kind of love anywhere, unparalleled. So, Khubayb, and then he was killed. And I was mentioned about Khubayb, the same thing happened. He was about to be killed, and then he asked the Kuffar in Makkah, give me time to pray 2 rakat salah. This is the first time anybody had done this action. It's a new action, but many people have followed in this. When they're about to be executed, they ask to pray 2 rakats. He prays the 2 rakats quickly, and then he says to the Kuffar in Makkah that had it not been for you guys thinking that I fear death, I would have made my namaz longer. But I made it short, so you don't think that. And as he was about to be killed, a similar question was asked, and he gave a similar answer. So, remembering the hadith, al-mar'u ma'a man ahabba, that a person will be with whom he loves. The person with whom he loves. We can't do these actions, we can't do what the Sahaba did, but the minimum that we can try and achieve is the love of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the love of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And again, the love of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is in his actions, in his way, the way he dressed, the way having a beard. One of the things that some people tell me was that they don't want to go into the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam without a sunnah beard. So this is outward, but inwardly as well, a person, he should make the intention that if he's not praying 5 times a day Salah with Jama'ah, then when he's in Medina, then definitely, that shouldn't be the case that a person out of laziness, out of slack, and he misses any namaz with Jama'ah. Fajr, it will be difficult, but if you can't do it in Makkah and Medina, where are you going to do it? If you can't practice in Makkah and Medina, you can't make the habit, then where are you going to do it? And do make plenty of dua. Duas are readily accepted in pious places, in pious times. And Hajj, you'll feel it when you go for Hajj, you'll feel the nur. I guarantee you'll feel the nur. That time is just amazing. And in Makkah and Medina, Allah's rahmah, Allah's mercy is coming down on the way of the Prophet. So please do tire yourself out in worshiping Allah. Do tire yourself out in doing good acts. And if there is any shopping to do, some people they do say they're shopping from Medina. Apparently the shops are cheaper in Medina. That's what I was told last time. Then pick a time and quickly go and do the shopping in a small period of time, and then just carry on doing the ibadah, inshallah. So make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives me the tawfiq first to fulfill the rights of the Masjid Nabawi, to fulfill the rights of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to make those moments precious, inshallah. So, inshallah, I'll pass it over to Mufti Sahib.
Assalamu alaikum. Maulana said you can talk for 5 minutes. That's love. Yeah, that's the sign of love. You can talk, but I don't really need to add much. The Maulana's knocked off most of it. La ilaha illallah. You know what he mentioned about Abu Sufyan, radiallahu ta'ala anhu. To understand love of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you have to study the Sahaba. Nowadays, and I'm deliberately doing this, okay? Again, I'm not pointing fingers at any specific type of people, but love is expressed very differently. Shor Sharaba, demonstrations, flags, big jalsas, yeah? That wasn't the way of the Sahaba expressing love, okay? Don't take my word for it. Read. Now, there's one point that I want to connect Medina Munawwara to what I was doing to you guys half an hour ago, which some people may have got upset about. Maulana mentioned Uhud, okay? You know when Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was under attack, the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala who were such that forget being in their house and a thorn pricks Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would get upset. Could you imagine if they were there and Absalom's life was on the line? So you literally had the Sahaba throwing themselves in front, okay? One Sahabi would lose an arm, one Sahabi would lose a tooth. Talha ibn Zubayr radiallahu ta'ala anhu, yeah, he stuck his hand to catch the arrows, okay? And when Talha radiallahu ta'ala anhu passed away, and they looked at his body from the days of Uhud, from head to toe, and we were asking the Masala about bleeding in Ihram, yeah? Talha ibn Zubayr had 75 wounds on his body protecting Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You know, Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he got knocked to a pulp, okay, he barely survived. He woke up in the morning. Our first thought is, Baji, who's dropped me a message on WhatsApp, Telegram, okay? That's our first thought when we wake up in the morning. Let's be frank. Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala, his first thought was not his wife, his smartphone, his tablet. Yeah, where is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam still alive? So, to understand that love, okay, and you know what? Allah Pak desires out to our elders and Mashayikh. 1400 years later, you still have people that remind you of the love of the Sahaba. Hazrat Maulana Qasim Sahib Nanoti rahmatullah alayhi, he would make dua to be a dog in Medina Munawwara. Hazrat Maulana Rashid Ahmad Gangohi rahmatullah alayhi, everybody knows that surma is sunnah, yeah? How many of us, let's be honest, have packed surma in our list to go to Hajj? How many of us, how many of us have packed surma? If somebody is here, please come and tell me, so at least I can say to Allah will take one person, yeah? Hazrat Gohi, when he put surma in his eyes to build the sunnah, he would mix the soil of Medina Munawwara, that's how Islam, our Mashayikh had, for the city of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So that point now we made, when Talha ibn Zubair and all these Sahaba were jumping in the way to save Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's life at Uhud, you know what, why were they doing this? Remember I said I was going to connect it to what was going on an hour ago. Why were they doing this? Because Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam was the difference between the salvation of mankind and the hellfire of mankind. Yes? Okay? Now that Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam is not here, okay, whose responsibility is that? The ulama, mashallah, like Mona Yas, and also me and you, who कहते हैं ना तबलीग में नबियों का काम है, yeah? So the way the Sahaba gave their lives protecting Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, whatever the fitna is against Islam, whatever it is, okay, whether it's atheism, modernism, feminism, Bachiism, whatever it comes afterwards, we need the tools. So I'm going to touch upon this at the end, okay? So we're not saving Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam's life, but we are saving what, or trying to save what Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam stood for. And finally, what Maulana mentioned about not wasting time, Imam Ghazali rahmatullah alayhi, in the notes here, I wrote at the bottom, he says, disrespect Medina Munawwara of the people thereof. You'll need to deprogram the Britishness in your system. Okay? You will actually have to practice this. I remember once I shared this at Al Farah, I had an issue with the laundry. Laundry went missing 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. Okay? Anybody not had underwear for 3 days? No? Don't worry, I had some backup. I was worried. I was getting a bit frustrated. So I phoned the guy and I said, yeah, you said we had a laundry service. My clothes haven't come back. So you know what the guy said to me? This Ahli Medina. He goes, listen, I really feel sorry for you. I'm 100% on your side. And the thing is, he's talking about he goes, what can I say to him? I can't swear at him. He's from Medina. Okay. So I thought to myself, you know what? I probably would have told him something, if God, Allah might save me. So you need to deprogram yourself, okay? Go through the patience, go through the suffer, because you're doing it for Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And see if you develop that mindset, you will benefit from the barakat of Medina Munawwara, okay? Maulana mentioned about sunnahs. Sorry, Imam Ghazali says, rahmatullah alayhi, under the ayat, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم لا ترفعوا أصواتكم فوق صوت النبي, where Allah Pak tells us not to raise our voices. But at the time, Allah Pak was addressing the Sahaba and others not to raise their voices above the voice of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the ulama, Imam Ghazali, he extrapolate signs, lessons, okay? He says, don't waste away your reward in Medina Munawwara because of your lack of etiquette and adab with either the city, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or the life, okay? All that hard-earned reward, let's be honest, okay? Hajj is not easy. All that hard-earned reward, don't start wasting it away because you've relaxed in Medina Munawwara or you're causing taklif to everybody in Medina Munawwara. And finally, again, we're not here to judge anyone. Honestly, when somebody stands in front of me and asks a question, I actually don't, Allah Pak's puzzle, I don't start looking, what's he waiting, where is he coming from? I just think to myself, Allah Pak sent this person and he may be closer to Allah on the Day of Judgment. Okay, that's what we all should feel. But, okay, when it comes to sunnahs, and I come back to ये हमारे पठान भाई थे people आ गई है who's interested in knowing the sunnah we are doing. Find out this. The reading the seerah is not just about knowing, okay, what happened. Say, this happened, this happened, this. That's not. The point is, what does it teach you? What do you do? What can you do? What's the sunnah? What can you take from it? How can you change your life? Hazrat Maulana Mufti Shakti Usmani Sahib rahmatullah alayhi, and I shared this at Al-Farah. He used to be very scared, a lot of Akabir to be very scared to go to the front of Rawza Sharif. They had that half of them was filled with love, they wanted to go, but the other half was thinking, yeah, how can I go in front of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with my history, okay? Because I forget sometimes, okay, that Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam is alive. Every day, every week, he gets a report about each and every one of us. Have you ever thought about it that way, okay? he's a lawyer. So whether you're a lawyer, a dentist, or a doctor here, if your governing body, the medical council, dental council, the optical council, gets a letter about you, what do you ask? Okay? To give them an update about how you're treating the patients at Bolton. Okay? You'll lose sleep, let's be honest. You will lose sleep over that. The Law Society gets a letter. Your governing body is Allah and His Rasul. Okay, they get these updates just because they don't receive feedback. Maybe the feedback is that Allah Pak has not given tawfiq to do as much as we can. So bear that in mind. Sohail's back now so we can finish off. Mufti Shafi Usmani Sahib Rahmatullah alayhi. He'd be very scared to go to the front of the Rosa. And you should see these people clinging onto the Jari Sharif, the picture that we see all too often, and crying their eyes out. And you should think, wow, these are really special people. They can get so close to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, get right to the front. And then he heard a voice from the blessed Qabr, okay? And that voice from Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said to Mawlana Mufti Shafi Usmani Sahib, who's passed away. He passed away not long ago in Hazrat Mama's lifetime, probably slightly earlier. He said, okay, what was the message? The message was, okay, whoever practices upon my sunnah, okay, he will be closest to me on the day of judgment. And whoever disregards my sunnah, he can be standing right in front of my qabr, but he'll be furthest away from me in the day of judgment. Okay? That is the objective of sunnah, okay? Not getting to places. Obviously, we want to get to these places, getting to know the get to the Quran. Yes, take care, okay? But at the end of the day, what you do in your day-to-day lives, this is the most important point. So here we have. Oh, sorry. Let me just look through these slides. Mohan has covered this. In terms of ziyarat, okay, this is a good kitab that came out recently. You can take a picture of this, okay. You need to be fast because you're probably running out of copies. One of our good friends, Maulana Abrar Sahib, he's a Blackburn graduate from Coventry, studying in Jamia Islamiyya Madinah Munawwara. He's got a really, really good book, and it's very good because this has got QR codes and GPS locations for exactly where the place is that it's talking about. Okay. So if you take a picture of this, and inshallah get your copies before you go to Hajj, and if he says he doesn't have any, reply back to the email to say that Asmar says, get more done. Conclusion, so like, we need to try to match this up, so whatever you think best.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Right, guys, Jazakumullah for your contribution, alhamdulillah, very valuable and very insightful. Jazakumullah Mufti Sahib. So inshallah, I think we've pretty much covered everything we have to, alhamdulillah. One particular thing we've not really touched on or not have given emphasis to is the importance of Tahiyat al-Masjid in both Masjid al-Haram and Masjid al-Nabawi every time we enter, inshallah. Because we're giving salam to the Masjid and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by entering, and this is the first greeting that we're doing for the blessed site, so it's very important to adhere to these small etiquettes and the sort of, and there's a lot of small masnoons as well, so inshallah we'll try and do that. And just as I said earlier, it's so often that we're going through these programs that these little small details that we sometimes forget, but subhanAllah, when you're walking around, you generally stop and you realize that, oh, I forgot to add this. So alhamdulillah, once I just went to pick my car up, I realized that, we've not mentioned the importance of Tahiyat al-Masjid every time we enter either, Masjid Haram, Masjid Nabawi as well, so it's very important. So inshallah, that's a parting little bit of nasihat, inshallah. So I'll let Mufti Asmar, inshallah, make a closing few remarks, inshallah, and then we'll allow a little bit of time for any final questions and answers, and inshallah we'll draw the majlis to a close after that. Jazakumullah.
Anything that anybody wants to ask before we file the majlis off?
Somebody was asking yesterday, did you attend the program? He was asking, at the first day after Father of the Hajj, you missed the first day, yesterday. They can repeat a little bit.
Yeah, no problem. Was it a lady or a?
No, male.
Okay. Conference of yesterday, so you're going to take that one.
So you're asking if there is the slides or a recording, or is that what you are asking?
No, please.
No, brothers, it's okay. You can ask any questions you may have, inshallah.
अब कल में बात की था कह रहे थे कल मैंने मिस किए तो जो तरीक़ेकार है ये पिछले ज़्यादा दिन तो अगर bring this
We
place
lived
on
yesterday
we
and
missed
Okay, inshallah. So, you know, pretty much everything that we covered today, we've covered the same content in the Masjid al-Falah programs as well. The content is exactly the same, it's just a slightly different variation in the delivery. So this seminar, inshallah, I think it is being recorded on YouTube, we'll confirm, but the Masjid al-Falah programs that we did over the 6 days, a few weeks ago, those are all available on YouTube as well. So if you just see us at the end, we'll send you or we'll show you the links of the two channels on YouTube, and you should be able to go through them. Having said that, if you have any question now, feel free to ask those, inshallah. So yeah, both programs are available on YouTube, inshallah. And also in the Falah group, we regularly update all the different seminars and Hajj programs that happen. I mean, we are at the tail end of everything now. There won't be as many Hajj programs taking place now, simply because in 7 days' time, the first flights will be taking off for Hajj, inshallah. So straight after that, most of the Hujjaj will be busy in the final preparations, packing the suitcases and things like that. Having said that, we're continuously supporting Hujjaj. So if there's anything that you're not sure about, anything that you want to ask, just feel free to reach out to us in the Al Falah channels. We'll be happy to answer any questions.
कौन सा है best yesterday? कौन दी क्विज बेस्ट है? किसके लिए पूछ रहे थे? आप घर आ जाइए, मैं आपके साथ प्राइवेट मजलिस कर लूँगा, ठीक है? ठीक है, चलो। पक्की बात है। मैं आपको कहने वाला था कि नेक्स्ट वीकेंड एडिनबरा को एक प्रोग्राम है फ्राइडे नाइट को और सैटरडे को प्रोग्राम है ग्लासगो को। मैं आई वाज गोना टेस्ट कि आपके अंदर तलब कितनी है, लेकिन एक काम करते हैं कि I'll give you time on the house, ठीक है?
वो तो मैं भी नहीं पहुंच सकता, अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह। आप अगर पहुंच जाए, because of me, inshallah, that's my hissa in there also, Mufti sahab. In the last 2 years, Mufti sahab, inshallah, he makes his program in Glasgow, and somehow I don't make it. So, inshallah, if one of the Boltonians can make it on my behalf, that's my hissa, inshallah. And you know what? The good thing about it is, whatever you take away from that program, and if any of that is of value to you in Arafat, if any of those things are of value to you in Arafat, inshallah, that might be a hissa and acceptance for all of us, inshallah.
Brother at the front.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how important is it to have a will?
1 second, sorry.
Okay, sorry to interrupt, brother. So next Sunday, Maulana Abdul Rahim Sahab,
Fulton Day.
yeah, Tafsir Rahimi, HLCC, that program is happening next Sunday on Hulton Lane, inshallah. So if you could join that, inshallah, we'll be there also.
Yeah, lift चलेंगे Babas my left to Glasgow, and next Sunday very good program in Hulton Lane, not far, 10 till 4. What day is it? Saturday. Sunday, inshallah. That's another option you got. बहुत अच्छा.
Ladies is Panwal.
Ji, good one.
I was going to ask a question about will. So, how important is it to have a will before you travel to Hajj? So, while traveling back to Manchester, Mom, I mentioned it briefly that we should write a will before going for Hajj. I don't know how organized everyone else is in terms of writing a will. What would be your thought process on this?
The obligation of writing a will exists even if you're not going to Hajj. Okay, ये आपने शराक भी पहनी है, कहाँ से खरीदी आपने? Relationship?
नहीं, ये किसी ने गिफ्ट दिया.
Gift दिया. Okay, the clothes you're wearing are worth 10-15 pounds. Probably. So माफ करना 60-70 pounds. ठीक है? असल में मैं जो बोला ना, I have a simple clothes. So when you die, when you walk out that door, Allah Pak give you long life and health. That's now inheritance. Okay? Again, the clothes you're wearing now, if they go to the wrong place, forget talking about your watch, your house, your cash. Okay? So the obligation of a will is now, regardless of whether you go on Hajj. One point. Second point, yes, there's specialists out there, lawyers, ulama, okay? But I'm a simple guy. You go home tonight, you write down on a piece of paper what you own, and all you have to put is that when I pass away, I want this to be distributed according to Islam, and you name an executor that you trust. Pakistan में भी हो सकता है, anyone, and I back up. So look, मेरी मिरास ये फलाना, it might be a Maulana, it might be your brother, ठीक है? And they will distribute your inheritance, even legally, if you have that witness inside the house, you can use that. It's not the best, but it serves the purpose. Something you can do today. You don't need to make an appointment. ठीक है? There's lots in wills, what you're supposed to make wills for, what you can't make wills for, get it checked by an alim, okay? And when you see, well, that's the bare minimum you can do. And as you know, first thing that comes off your will Islamically are your debts, your burial costs, etc., the funeral costs. Once that's settled, then afterwards, your inheritors, and for 1/3, you can donate up to 1/3 to a non-heir. Non-heir से मुराद आपके जो बच्चे या people that were going to benefit anyway. Besides them, you can donate 1/3 to Zakariyya Masjid. Idris Mama Pushte. Next question. Ji.
Can you give us an update on the tickets, please?
Ticket master. Where's my business class?
Inshallah, all the Al-Bayt tickets that we know of have been issued. A lot of the other providers are working on, supply of the tickets from the airlines. So I don't think there's anything to be worried or concerned about. Idra Al-Khair, I know there are 95% done. Al-Bayt are 100% done. MCDC are 90% done, I'm pretty sure. So unless it's a custom flight, which you should already have, if it's a pre-booked flight, a package flight, then inshallah that will be falling up very, very soon. In the last 24 hours, there was a concern about many of the visas. I think 99% of the visas have come through now. So the last of the documentation is now the rooming configurations and confirmations and flight tickets, and that will follow through as well, inshallah, very soon.
आपको वीजा मिल गया? You got the visa? चलो यार, they don't pay you the tickets, book your own flight. जिसको जाना है वो जाएगा. Sorry again.
Is there a way of changing the Muslim camp to the Al-Kabsh?
Sorry?
Changing camps.
Is there a way of changing? No.
No. Unless you use your way and somehow find out inside a Major camp. No, there isn't any way.
So if you know somebody in the Al-Kabsh, then you can get contact. And
Security is
if
very
there
tight.
is any
They will ask
space.
you for your wristband. The security
Yeah. I mean, you go through that, the changes and that.
Yes. But no, if you've already been allocated one of the camps, then through the provider it's not possible to change because all those camps are very fully occupied really. So there won't be any room. Absolutely no room in there at all.
Who's in Majlis Kabsh here? Anybody in Majlis Kabsh?
Actually, let me ask you a
We're
question.
not fortunate to be in Kabsh.
Nah, well.
No, I was trying to sort you out.
No,
we're not fortunate. None of us.
Not fortunate. Why do you say that?
Closer to Shaitan.
Allah's will.
Why do you say that?
Allah's will.
No, what do you mean? Allah's will is to take you to Arafat. That's what matters. We've slept underneath trucks. We've slept underneath trucks just to be grateful that Allah SWT has took us there. So let's not worry about Major Cup. Let's not worry about Waisin Camp. Both are as good as each other. Both are as good as each other. They both have their confidence.
No, it's just for I have elderly with me.
Inshallah.
I have elderly with me. Probably no wheelchairs.
If you've got concern with a wheelchair, you reach out to us. We'll send somebody with a wheelchair to take you from Waisin to Jamra. We do it enough time, inshallah. Don't let these camps, don't let these minor luxuries be a hindrance or a concern for you that there will be some challenge in my Hajj. Absolutely not. Allah SWT will open a way for you. I can guarantee you that the more difficulty you endure, the more challenges that you endure, the more the doors will be open and there'll be more of an acceptance for you. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with saying I'd like to be a Majal Cups for logistical reasons. That's absolutely fine. But when it comes to comforts and luxury, if you put them aside, you'll find that you'll be worrying yourself. Because the sad thing here is most of the Hujjaj, they get so bogged down and they're so particular, hung up about what has he got. And you let that play on your mind. You'll compare camps, you'll compare hotels, you'll compare food. And what will happen is your ibadat won't be focused on that. Your ibadat will be focused on the material things that are there. So So let just all that slip by and just make one dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what I would have liked, I may not have received, but the fact that you brought me here, I'm grateful for it. And whatever you can compensate in lieu of that, I'm very happy. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept that dua, inshallah, and He will give you 100 times more in this world and in the akhirah, inshallah.
Well, what we'll do is let's do the close, inshallah, and then we'll take more questions. After your one.
Yes, okay. Zakariyya. Like the WhatsApp is a communication application. So like, is there any other application which is useful for Hajj Seminar or Muslim Umrah? Don't have any application you install in
in terms of apps, you mean?
No, like during the
our main communication is Telegram and WhatsApp. So if you reach out to any of us in any of the groups or even directly, then we'll be able to answer you.
No, like in the Saudi location.
Yeah.
For example, if I say like that map of the Saudi, that particularly that area.
Yeah.
So if somebody missing, he misplaced or he like lost, so he can get.
Yeah, you could use WhatsApp to ping your location, and then or there's two things you could do. You could either do a location ping, so where you are, or you could do a ping where somebody could follow you over the last 15 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. We use that quite often when we're walking towards Arafat, because we are in different jamaats, and because we have different groups, some walking at a fast pace, some walking at a slow pace, some who may be resting. So what we do is it's called the active pin. So basically, every 15 minutes it's updating the location, so they know exactly where you are. And that's how we used to. In fact, we used to use that as a little bit of a game to see who's ahead and who's behind. Sometimes one group was ahead of another. By the time they rested, the next group had gone ahead of them. So, geolocations and pinning is very useful, and light pins are very useful as well. So if somebody is lost, you can easily find them. Speaking of getting lost, and in terms of your luggage, nowadays we do find that sometimes luggage goes missing as well. Again, we've not talked about too many of the essentials through the program. We talk more about the logistical, practical, and spiritual aspect of it. But things like air tags you can put in the suitcases to track the location of your luggage. There's things like that available as well that you can buy online, so that's quite handy as well. In fact, most of the providers encourage you to have an air tag in your suitcase, which is linked to the GPS on your phone, so if somebody's suitcase does go missing, then you can easily track it. I'll give you an example. Last year, beautiful lake, one trunk full of luggage went completely missing. Nobody knew where it was. There was one Hujjaj in that group who had an air tag in his luggage. With his air tag, the whole Jamaat, the whole group, they managed to track the location of where and he told the group that, listen, our suitcases are still in Jeddah. They located in Jeddah, they brought it to Medina. So it could take one person to make a difference for everybody, inshallah.
Okay, so inshallah, let's just do the conclusion, 5-10 minutes, and then those that want to leave can leave, inshallah, and those that want to stay behind to ask more questions, more than welcome. I think we'll finish ahead of schedule, probably around about 6 o'clock, if anybody needs to message the missus to let her know that pick you up or you pick her up. See, inshallah. So, alhamdulillah, jazakumullah khairah for your patience. Allah Pak's enabled us to come to the end. The final bit of advice, which is quite important, is that Hajj is an act of worship. One can learn, perfect all the acts. There may be some mistakes in between, but ultimately that act of ibadah will come to an end, and then you have a choice to make. Okay, when you return, how do you return? Are you going to waste away all that effort? Is your life actually going to change? So one of the signs of Hajj Mabrur is that you come back a different person. So there was a saying that amongst the Arabs, they would say, don't return like the donkey of Isa alayhi salam. Because if you take a donkey to Hajj and you bring a donkey back, it's still a donkey. Okay? So we make dua that Allah Ta'ala gives us, that change in our lives. And if you've already had change, make it better. The next point, and I'm glad all the volunteers are here, Muaz, Zahir, Mama, Usman Bhai, Ozzy, Google Eyes, the Asif. Realize your potential. Allah Pak, I don't know you personally, but some of you, Allah Pak's given you all a quality, okay? But ask yourself, are you using those qualities in the service of Deen or are you not? I said this in Al-Falah. Connect yourself with something that will have for your akhirat, whether it's your local masjid, whether it's an alim, okay? Okay? And if you have nothing else and you're struggling, come to me. I've got a lot for you to do. Take it, send me a message. Aapko khidmat mein lagayenge. You know, every single one of these volunteers that you see, okay? Mashallah, you know, I'm impressed by them, okay? A lot of them, they don't lack any money, they don't lack talent, but they just give up their time for the sake of Allah Pak's creation. And they live off that, they breathe off that. That's what keeps them ticking. And you guys are not dissimilar, okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen you for this journey. So when you come back, channel that energy into the community because the Ummah needs each and one of us. And I was quoting that message, Maulana Rumi Ahmadullah alayhi would say in the translated form, there is a candle in your heart ready to be kindled, there is a void in your soul ready to be filled. So keep it connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and more importantly, or just as importantly, the people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fazal Mama also asked me, please do not forget us in your du'as to make dua for all the volunteers. Okay, we enjoy it a little bit, but it is hard work. Bajara Imran and these Muazzin had time off me because the projector wasn't right or we started late. These mistakes happen in life, okay? We try our best. I actually didn't have a chance to translate this. I was running off my, my heels. But this is advice for people not going on Hajj. Just say for argument something happens, Allah forbid, and you can't go on Hajj. Are you going to sit there and think, oh my God, Allah Pak's, I mean, Allah Pak not put for anyone rather than get upset. This is good advice for anyone not going on Hajj and somebody who was going. من لم يستطع الوصول للبيت الحرام لأنه منه بعيد فليقصد رب البيت فإنه أقرب إليه من حبل الوريد. So he says, Ibn Rajab al-Hambali in this poem, that whoever doesn't have the ability to visit Bayt al-Haram, the Masjid Haram, Baytullah Sharif, because it's far from him, ba'id, either in distance, or he doesn't have the money, or he doesn't have the health anymore, what should he do? فَلْيَقْصِدْ رَبَّ الْبَيْتِ. Then you know what? Leave Baytullah to one side and make your objective the Rabb of Baytullah, who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because you know what? The Kaaba might be far, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is closer to you in Habl al-Warid than your Jabril al-Bayl. Okay? So bear that in mind, inshallah, for those not going on Hajj or unable to go on Hajj, I'm going to leave up this kitab if you guys want to order that. And if anybody wants anything else, please speak to us. The brothers that we promised, please come and remind us. There's a lot of journeying to get on. And if there's any other comments, questions, inshallah, we've still got 5, 10, 15 minutes. If not, you're free to go. Do I hand out the hadiyas? Is that, did you do that yesterday? Asif, did you hand out the, everybody's got the hadiyas, mashallah. Do you have it?
Where do we order this kitab from?
Website, Haramain, the haramainguide.com. Yeah. In English, Mashe. You probably get Urdu, but it's a good one, alhamdulillah. Al Haramain Guide. There are other guides as well. You'll find them available. But that one there is that website, the one left, haramainguide.com. Anything else? Amin wa iyyakum.
For the volunteers, Jazakallah khair.
Standing dua for Gaza, Fazal Mama, mashallah.
And dua for closing.
Is Mufti Ismail Saleh come?
Just take it from here,
Fazal Mama, you got one job, you have to listen to them.
You have to make dua for the
اللهم صل وسلم على بعيد والطرف اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد حسن اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما باركت على ابراهيم وعلى ال या अल्लाह तमाम हाजियों की हज को कबूल फरमा आसान फरमा तमाम आलम की मुसलमानों की अल्लाह तो हिफाजत फरमा या अल्लाह खुसूसन पैलेस्टाइन गाजा रोहिंग्या और यमन और पूरे अरब के मुसलमान जहाँ कहीं भी परेशान हालत में सबकी परेशानियों को दूर फरमा
या अल्लाह तमाम आलम के दीनी इदारों की हिफाजत फरमा। या अल्लाह जितने भी हाजी लोग इस साल जगह जा रहे हैं सब के लिए आसानी फरमा, कबूल फरमा। और या अल्लाह जितने भी वॉलंटियर्स और हमारे मुफ्ती साहब और सोहेल भाई सब पे अल्लाह तू जज़ाए खैरत का फरमा और हाजियों की खिदमत के लिए इनको खूब हिम्मत और तंदुरुस्ती अता फरमा। और या अल्लाह जिन जिन हाजियों ने नियत के हैं और आइंदा इस साल नहीं जा सके तो आइंदा साल के लिए उनको जाने की तौफीक अता फरमा। या अल्लाह सब कुछ तेरी तौफीक से होता है। या अल्लाह तू ही कबूल करने वाला है। या अल्लाह पूरी उम्मत की अल्लाह तू हिफाजत फरमा। या अल्लाह जहाँ कहीं भी उम्मत को खाना पीना नहीं है रोज़ाना की ज़रियात को या अल्लाह तो गैब से पूरी फरमा। जितने भी हुकूमत वाले अल्लाह मुसलमानों के ऊपर जुल्म कर रहे हैं जुल्म करने वालों को हिदायत नसीब फरमा। इनकी तकदीर में हिदायत नहीं है या अल्लाह उनको इस ज़मीन से पाक और साफ फरमा। और जो हुकूमत वाले उनकी मदद कर रहे हैं उनकी या अल्लाह ताकत पावर इकड़ों की अल्लाह तू ख़त्म फरमा दे। मुसलमानों को या अल्लाह तू मदद फरमा। या अल्लाह तमाम आलम के मुसलमानों की जान की माल की ईमान की इज्जत आबरू की हिफाजत फरमा दे। या अल्लाह तो हमारे सब के दिलों को तू जानता है। या अल्लाह तो हमारी सब की हर एक दिली जायज़ तमन्नाओं को मुरादों को जायज़ जाजों को या अल्लाह तू पूरी फरमा दे। और आने वाली हर मुसीबत आफत से परेशानियों से उलझनों से टेंशनों से हमारी हिफाजत फरमा दे। इन अल्लाह व मलाइकतहु युसल्लूना अलन नबी या अय्युहल्लज़ीना आमनू सल्लु अलैहि व सल्लिमू तस्लीमा। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला